Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-Optional Podcast here on the 23rd of September 2014.
Yay!
Hi.
Hello! What up?
Hi.
All the
Hi.
enthusiasm from everybody here, clearly.
So
I
much
never know if
energy.
you're
Oh my
taking a
God.
dramatic pause or if you're waiting for us to
Right.
contribute.
I do it deliberately to start the podcast on an awkward note. It seems to work pretty well most of the time, I gotta admit. But then we had to go and bring on someone with genuine enthusiasm, which is obviously ruining the entire
Not
show.
a fan of that.
No,
Not a fan of that.
Not at all.
Enthusiasm or energy drinks. Take your pick, whichever.
It's
Yeah, I
more of
mean,
a
they're
chicken and the egg
directly related,
scenario,
right?
maybe, with that one. One of the members of the infamous cabal known as the two friends Zabatsu. It is the one and only Woolie. Welcome to the show.
Hello. We have a really bad branding thing going on where it was two best friends play, but I guess now we're super best friends play because there's more than two people.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Hang on a minute.
It's confusing. It's super confusing, and it's okay if you didn't understand it. That's
Yeah,
fine.
and the name of your channel is The Switcher, which has nothing to do with either of those.
Awful. We're garbage at this. It's really terrible.
Unified branding at its finest.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
don't worry, you're in good company here with OMFG Kata and Total Halibut.
Total halibut, yeah. It's fine though. I think if you just look up friends play or try to spell the word Zaibatsu, you're probably gonna trip across us. It's okay.
I'm not a fan of Friends. They're overrated. Not a fan of that.
They do certainly get in the way. So just to introduce you to three people in the chat that don't know what your channel is, and how did things start off, and how did things get to where they are right now?
Generally speaking, there's three other guys that do the channel with me: Matt, Pat, and Liam. Matt
Not
and
a fan of those guys.
Yeah, they're
Don't
not
like 'em.
great. They're not
Don't
great.
like them.
You know,
Don't like them.
They kind of suck,
I
but
don't
moving on.
trust them. I don't trust those guys.
they help me pay the rent, but fuck them. You know, who
Especially
needs-
that Matt Pat. Especially that Matt
Yeah.
Pat. Don't like that kid. Troublemaker. Internet
start-
troublemaker.
Yeah, they started out just kind of doing a thing together where they just talk shit over games and whatnot. Matt originally wanted me to team up with him to do one of these videos, but I was too busy watching Street Fighter streams, so I gave up on the opportunity to do that. And the rest is history. Eventually, I caught back up with them, and here we are today talking shit over video games. Yay! Awesome.
Fantastic. Oh, welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Co-Optional Podcast. We do occasionally talk about video games. Coming up in the show, we'll be talking about what we've been playing this week, and then we'll move on to the news, of which there is some. It's always nice whenever I get to say that. We had months of nothing. It was just the
There's
worst.
news, guys.
Yeah, now everybody's doing things, apparently. There's the Steam curation, there's Double Fine falling flat on its face again, there's Goru and horribleness surrounding that, there's a few other things that I forget, but I'm sure that'll happen later on anyway. And then we'll wrap up the show with talk about new releases, again, of which there are many, and then we will try and force you to go to our site so that we can pay the rent this month, and then we'll wrap up the show. Simple as that. That's how it goes.
Can I just point out something? I know you guys are probably sick of hearing it, but your intro song is the catchiest, best thing.
Isn't
it's
it
so
great?
good.
I love
It's
it.
so good.
No.
Yeah,
Like,
you
I'm
can,
so sick.
you can thank the one and only
You're
Miracle of
real.
Sound for that one. He
For the
made
last-
that for us.
Because for the last 4 years, we've been playing nothing but the shitty fucking Kirby theme on all of our videos, and we're all
Is that
so
Super
sick of
Gourmet?
hearing
Is it Gourmet Race? No, it's not Gourmet
It's
Race. I remember
Green
it's
Greens.
Green Greens.
It's Green
yeah.
Greens, and we're done. We're like, when we get buried, they're gonna bury us playing that theme on the fucking bagpipes, and
You
we
can
have
always
nothing
change
else
it, man.
interesting.
You
I
can
guess.
always.
You've got
Well,
the
it's
same
not-
problem as Yogscast, where they keep playing that Ren and Stimpy music, and they have been for the last 4 or 5 years, and they just will not stop doing that either.
Yeah.
Hey, Ren and Stimpy, that is all free use. The entire Ren and Stimpy soundtrack, you will never get flagged for using that. I use it
Is it
quite
actually?
frequently. Totally
Oh,
true.
man.
It's all you can. It's fair use. You can use whatever you want. So in all the
Yeah.
really stupid.
Is that
videos I
actually
make
written
every
down
once in a
somewhere,
while-
or are you deliberately trying to bait people into getting
No,
the
no,
channel?
I'm not. The videos that I have, there's a
Ren
whole.
and Stimpy, fair use.
When Krendor and I did our Mr. Pandaria videos way back when, we took little clips of that and made awful 1950s style, like, hey kids, did you know, like
Oh,
dating
those, yeah,
tips
yeah.
and things. And all the music we used for that was the Ren and Stimpy soundtrack. Total fair use. We didn't change anything, and it was like just perfectly fine. Now, if you do get flagged, it's not my not my fault. but I didn't, and so
it's kind of
we looked it up.
bittersweet.
Wait, so that's how you're operating this? Is like it's fair use because
It's fair use 'cause we haven't
No,
got
no,
caught yet.
Yeah.
This is what we found out. All I'm saying is I don't have a link to prove this to you, but this is what, after researching, we found out. But it's been literally a year since we made one of those, so I couldn't tell you where to find that information at. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
All right.
Just taking money out of John K's pocket. It's fine. No worries. It's cool.
Jesse is not a trustworthy source on copyright
I
law.
am just saying that it's a great. The music is great.
Yes.
It's
It is.
all that
It totally
really
is.
awful like 1950s like. It's wonderful. I love it.
I'm glad to know. All right, let's talk about the games we've been playing this week. We'll start, of course, with our special guest, Mr. Woolie, or Sir Woolie. I don't know which you prefer to go by.
Sir Woolie.
Sir
That's
Woolie.
what we're going.
Not a
with.
sir.
Yeah.
Dr.
Not a
Woolie,
sir.
MD.
Sir Woolie?
Would you...
Dr. Woolie?
Dr. Woolie, MD, absolutely. Tell us a bit about what you've been playing this week. What's been going on?
Well, I've been playing quite a few things. I picked up Destiny and, trying to sludge my way through that. I'm not much of a first-person shooter guy, but, I enjoy the big, like, space wizard spectacle of it all. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. And I'm kind of finding that, well, it's been, maybe like 4 or 5 hours of it. I got to like level 8 or so, and I'm like just wondering, is this all there is to it? Is
The answer
this
is yes.
only thing that,
Let me describe to
'Cause-
you what every
Ah.
quest in this game is. First off, I don't know if I mentioned this last week. This is how much I fucking hate this game. The beginning of the game, for those of you who want to know the story, is a cutscene that's literally like, I could tell you of the traveler. I could tell you of the fallen and the darkness, but I won't. You must
But
get
I
out
won't.
there. There's no time.
I could tell you of all these missions you probably want to play as.
I could give you a story,
But I won't.
But there's no time. And then
I
Obama
could
Smith
give
goes,
you this informational pamphlet to read on the flight to the next planet, but
No,
I
here's
won't.
the thing. Here's the thing. That's what they do. It goes bing, and it goes, for more information, go to Bungie.net, like in the bottom of the screen. So every time you unlock
That is
story,
bollocks.
it says go to the website to read the story. And it's like, screw this game. And
Ask you to go to a website. It's like, well, we couldn't fit text on the disc, guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
what?
Come on, really?
And then every every mission so far that I've done, well, first off, I want to point out, you don't even need to do the missions. There's an area in the Russian zone where if you just stand with guys who are level 25 for like
They still
maybe
haven't
6
patched
hours,
that.
you're level 20. I will just sit there.
Yeah.
I'm on my second. Whatever, it doesn't matter. Every mission that I've played so far, it has this outline. And I've played everyone on hard. I have not played easy mode, so I don't know what the easy mode version is. But the hard mode of every mission is go into an area that you can go into, whenever you want normally. Go into an area, a little thing that's an instance will pop up and be like, yeah, if you die here, you're totally screwed and you're gonna have to restart. And I'm like, okay. And you go in and you start killing guys, and then you get to something that Peter Dinklage says you need to find for whatever fucking reason you need to find it. It doesn't make any sense. He's like, we have to find this in order to, by the way, Peter Dinklage phoning it in. He's like, we have to find this in order to stop them because reasons. And so then you get there, and then the second half of every mission is Peter Dinklage finds an artifact, starts scanning it, and he goes, uh-oh, here they come. And then you fight wave after wave of guys every single effing time. The first, 8 missions, that's all it is. That's the same thing over and over again. It's like, God, and you're just waiting for Dinklage. And so there's video of me just being like, God damn it, Dink! Go watch my Twitch stream. It's just me getting more and more frustrated with this game as
Yeah,
I
all
can't
the money,
describe it.
all the money went into hiring Peter, and he is like, "Hey, so go there, and oh no, watch out." Okay.
And there's all these other actors who are really, really good actors, and I think they have 6 lines total because they're just background characters. They're like, welcome to my shop. It's like, that's a really famous voice. I know that guy. It's like, great, thanks for stopping by. It's like, what?
Yeah, it really wasn't blowing me away. So I grabbed my 3DS and I started playing Tetris because there's a Tetris game that came out on it. Tetris, I forget the word. It's the newest one, but I'm a big Tetris guy. I fucking love that game. I can play it forever. And the latest one, they added in these kind of Mario Kart-esque power-ups and things like that while you're playing. And some of them are the most bullshit, dumb things. I think like one of them is like, okay, when you play, it fills your screen with fog, and you've got the only way to clear it. Yeah, the only way to clear it is to blow on your 3DS and blow it away. So if when you're sitting on the bus, you've got to like,
oh,
like
that good old
idiot,
chestnut. Okay.
you know, and then you're getting lightheaded after a while, and like your head hurts, and it's just a dumb idea, you know. And I'm like, why would you do this to Tetris? Just give me classic, good old block rotations, please.
You can't just
notes.
play like classic Tetris.
You can, and like that's fine, that's in there. But I'm always like, I want to try the new modes out, and I was just like, why would they do that? Another mode is like you can switch your matrix with whoever you're fighting's matrix. So you can just fill your screen up with crap, and then at the last second switch it, and they're dead, and the game's done. So yeah, Tetris not really innovating too much these days.
Oh, so it's like that multiplayer Tetris? God, F that game. Multiplayer Tetris is the worst.
Don't do it. Don't do it. And yeah, I mean, not too long ago, I guess fell in love with Transistor.
Yes.
I finally got around to playing that, and oh my god, it's everything I wanted in my life that I didn't know about. Beautiful on every aspect, tight, small game that's just sound quality perfect, like visual quality perfect, fidelity, like everything, gameplay, just can't rant enough. Transistor's the greatest. It's the
It
greatest.
sounds like when I describe a woman I'm in love with.
It really is
Such high fidelity.
Small,
Such high fidelity.
tight. What?
Tight, small. What a tight, small game. Like,
Replay value, all of it.
the replay value is so high on her.
I hate you, Jesse.
Yep.
And I was playing it on PS4, and I found out like midway through that you can go into the options and set it so that the transistor that talks to you, the speaker comes out of your controller, and the controller flashes and lights when he talks. So you just turn your lights off and pretend you're running around with this very bass, like tall, dark, and handsome man talking to you as you play, and it's great. It's fantastic.
That's a really interesting little gimmick. I actually didn't know about that. I played the version on PC, but that's neat. It's a cool little thing that they put in.
Yeah. It was just, a little bit of a minor console add-on, but it helped. It was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Transistor is fantastic. It was starting to come towards the end of the year, so I have to start thinking about the usual shit, like the games of the year list, the top 10. Transistor right now is definitely on it. So it would take quite a lot of really good releases to come out of the next few months to knock Transistor out of the top 10. It was that damn good, in my honest opinion. It's just gorgeous. It's one of the most gorgeous games I've ever played, just in terms of the aesthetic. The artists behind that game are ridiculously talented.
And I just feel that, like considering, I think they only made Bastion before this. That was like the only other thing they did. Supergiant Games. Like Bastion was really solid as well. I still haven't finished it. I don't know. I guess I just kind of ran out of time there. But Transistor really hooked me in and was like, no, you're not putting this controller down. Yeah. You're going right through to the end in like 1-2 sittings.
That's because it's so short.
Yes.
That's the reason why you're going right to the end, because it's a very, very short game.
But it was compelling. It was compelling, I guess something else I went through and had the opposite effect. That had the opposite effect on me was the new Keiji Inafune game, Gunvolt. It's kind of like, so Mighty Number 9 is like one take on the let's bring back Mega Man sort of side of things, and Gunvolt is the other one. And it's just kind of sad because it's not super great. It does the basic, platform and shoot, and you got your blue guy running around taking out bosses, getting their powers and stuff, but it doesn't have a lot of the I don't want to say soul, but level design is way subpar. Music is okay at best. It just gets very repetitive, and it kind of makes me think like they were spending way more of their attention, or Keiji was spending more attention on Mighty Number 9 than this one, and the guys at Inti Creates who developed it were just left to their own devices, and it just doesn't deliver. It's pretty sad. I was hoping for like a spiritual Mega Man successor to like anything that comes out from the crap fest that he's been through recently. I was hoping all this new stuff would be fantastic, but so far, one down and not great.
Yeah, I mean, look at the footage on the screen right now. This reminds me more of the Mega Man X series, and even then, it's like this is a lot of straight line running, isn't it? There's not a great deal of platforming involved in this.
And it actually has an element of it where, like, even when you're platforming in a Mega Man game, you can kind of get a sense of momentum because you're moving through the stage, the screen is scrolling with you, and you're taking things out and going on, and then you drop up and down and such. In this game, you have to lock onto a target and then hold the trigger button until you electrocute them to death. And that start and stop is just tedious enough that you question, like, why am I not having fun with this? Like, it just, the rhythm always breaks, and it pulls you out of it every time you have to do that, you know?
Yeah, big thanks to
with the
Nightwing 01
platformer
for
rhythm
the
is
footage there, by the way.
so much of it.
Yeah, you've got to have a feeling of, like, just control, speed, in and out, because it's a 2D plane. So, you know, the games that let you play with that, and you know, the later Mega Man X games where you can, like, air dash twice and up dash and do all these kinds of crazy things, they feel really good when you can do that. And in this game, you can eventually get that level of mobility and speed, but it's locked behind challenge missions that you're not compelled to do. It doesn't really, like, put it in a place where you're supposed to go check them out. It's very, very optional, and you can get through the entire game not even looking at them. So, it just didn't pull it together for me. Not too sure what they're planning to do or if there's going to be, like, any follow-ups to that, but I really hope Mighty Number 9 does something different. I hope it doesn't go that route.
Yeah. And Mighty Number 9 had a good amount of funding. It was looking reasonable at the moment. It's currently embroiled in controversy because apparently one of its community managers is blocking customers on Twitter for some reason.
What?
Yeah, I read about that. I believe it's
God.
related to the Gamergate hashtag, and there's a lot of people complaining about being blocked, and now some people are attempting chargebacks as a result. So there's a mess surrounding that. It's like, that doesn't seem like the best way to manage your community if you cause a revolt within it. I've got to say, that's not particularly great.
A second revolt, for that matter.
Yeah, this is the second time this has happened, actually.
Man.
That she doesn't seem like she's managing that community particularly well, and it's certainly causing a lot of a backlash against the developer, which absolutely sucks. I mean, that's the opposite of what the community manager should be doing. They're supposed
Yeah, I
to
was
be there
just
to
going to
protect
say
them.
this is the opposite of what you wanted to do.
No, the community already hates her to begin with.
Yeah.
And this is, oh God, there's no right side to this one. This is just a bunch of crazy people being idiots. So,
like, what really sucks in the end is that, like, I'm sure all the guys making the game just are like, they just want people to just get their hands on it and play it.
Absolutely.
Like, not without this front-loaded drama and stuff. But when this is how the community is being handled, when you've got this sort of thing going on, it hurts a game before it even has a chance to get out the gates, you know?
Yeah, which absolutely sucks. And I definitely do not feel good for the developers there at all. And hopefully this will get resolved and the game will come out and it won't suck. As let's be honest, we've had a good number of nasty crowd-funded failures, which will, of course, some of which we'll go on to in the news section a little bit later on in the show. But you know, it's always nice to see a game come out from Kickstarter and actually be good. And we've had games like that too, you know. We've been playing a bit of Wasteland, and so far it's really great. It's exactly what I was looking for out of that.
Yeah. Shovel Knight, I think, is probably my favorite example of just, it came out exactly as they described it would be, and it was just beautiful. It was just fun the whole way through, and like, all my faith in Yacht Club. I will fund whatever they put out. I believe in them.
I usually hate those kind of games, but it was so well put together. It was so tight. The soundtrack is fucking brilliant.
Jake Kaufman!
Yes.
Kaufman is a fucking genius.
Oh my God, Jake Kaufman.
I love that guy. One of my favorite composers within video game music. You know, he's right up there with Jeremy Soule
okay. He's
and
not
Alexander Brandon, as far as I'm concerned.
Passable.
Like
and Danny B, obviously.
Anyone that can take like a franchise like Double Dragon and give it like a full iconic soundtrack.
Joke.
Oh, you have a job for life. You're hired.
Can we just appreciate the fact that he created the best end credit soundtrack to anything?
Yes.
The Double Dragon end credits are the best thing ever made. The best.
It's like, what if a Saturday morning cartoon villain was singing Queen?
Yes.
Go. Done.
There it is. Did it.
To what was happening on the screen at the same time. So even like achievements and things, oh my God, just singularly the best ending to a game. So that guy's amazing.
Yeah, he is. I certainly hope he gets a lot more work. I know he did some stuff with Shanty. He did some stuff with Mighty Switch Force. But I mean, the last few things he's done are just fucking spot on.
I feel like he'll do just fine.
Yeah. Hopefully.
He'll do just fine.
He hasn't really done the music for anything super big yet. You know, and
if you want to see him live, I know the last 2 years, every time PAX is in Seattle, he's always at the what the hell's the name? Fan Gamer Cross, whatever the thing it is. Party, and he plays live. Dude is insane. So
nice.
Yeah.
I guess I when I tend to think of like stuff I'm playing recently, I don't think of stuff that I'm playing on our channel as well, because I just separate it for the podcast that we do and stuff. Yeah. But I think Dark Souls 2 is my ongoing thing right now. Just falling in love and out of love and in love with the game as we go on. It's I don't want to sort of spoil where we're at in the game right now, but this is the first Dark Souls, Demon Souls like game I've played. This is the first experience I'm getting of it, and I'm playing with Pat. I'm constantly losing my mind at how awesome this game is and how much it just speaks to me in terms of difficulty and the whole mentality of get good. Like no easy mode for you, and and Pat just keeps telling me, he's like, well, just keep in mind this is the shittiest of the trilogy. The other two games are better than this. It only goes up from here, and I'm like, I can't fathom what you mean. How?
I know. People keep saying that to me too. I started playing Dark Souls 2 on Twitch just as like a goof because people wanted to watch me play it. And now I like consistently play it on Twitch. I've only been playing it live, but man, that game is so fun. And everybody keeps saying the same thing to me. They're like, oh, you got to play the other ones. But I played Demon Souls, and I really didn't like that one, which I've said before on this podcast. I really didn't like it because it didn't give me enough to grab onto and care about. So I just kind of dropped it. I didn't feel like I was leaving anything behind by stopping the game, Okay. So whereas with Dark Souls 2, I feel like if I never finished Dark Souls 2, I'd be like, oh, but what did I miss out on?
What did you miss out on?
Like what did I leave behind? So I didn't have that feeling with the first one, and I never played the first Dark Souls. So
by any chance, did you guys get to try out Bloodborne?
I've played it at PAX.
Yeah, okay. At PAX as well. Yeah, I played it at PAX as well. Oh, yeah. Okay, you guys were there. Cool.
We were probably there at the same time. Just didn't know.
Just walked by each other like,
didn't know.
Like right playing
ships passing in the night.
Yeah,
playing Bloodborne right next to each other. Dying
literally next to each other.
Even Bloodborne, like it's just I'm super excited for this thing all of a sudden, and like that game looks like Dark Souls, but just like hyper. Because it's so much faster, and you're like comboing and switching your sword out.
There's so much shine to everything, and like I wasn't excited at first when it was pitched as Dark Souls but with zombies. I was like, nah, I'm not into that. But it's so, I don't know, the aesthetic of it fits. Everything fits together. It's so fun to play.
What kind of pulled me in was like, it's Dark Souls, but replace your shield with a shotgun.
Yes, I noticed that. It's like, oh, that's how you counter things. You don't block, you shoot them in the face. Okay, I can dig that.
Yes, absolutely. The first question we ask on our channel when we pop a game in is, how do you shoot the gun? And the answer now is L1, actually. And it's really good. It's really fucking good. Use it. It's Bloodborne looks great. That's more or less what I've been up to. Also to mention at PAX, I think Dark Souls is the first game I've seen that has a ton of blatant clones coming out, but I don't care that they're clones. I'm just happy to play them. I like also right next to
Lords of the Fallen.
Lords of the Fallen's there. You've got Salt and Sanctuary coming out from the guys that made the Dishwasher, and it's basically 2D Dark Souls. They're unapologetically doing the exact same thing. Below, Deep Down. All these games are coming out, and they look like they're kind of following the same aesthetic, but I'm excited to play all of them. Like, it's such a feeling of, like, I usually really hate on the fact that something's being ripped off, but I don't know. For some reason, I want more of this in my life. It's okay with me. Yeah. It's the only exception.
Yeah, I think so. Dark Souls does things in a very specific way. It tells its story, and it expounds on its lore in a very specific way, and it's got a certain set of mechanics. But I like the principle behind it being it's an exploration-based game with very little guide, in which you are likely to die, and everything feels like a risk. And I think there should definitely be more games in that. I'm looking forward to Lords of the Fallen. The hope is that the PC version is good. And Dark Souls 2's PC version was a crap ton better than Dark Souls 1, although it still had some problems, like that people suddenly realized a couple of months in that the durability of your items was cut in half because it was tied to the frame rate. So it's
absolutely.
like you're running at 60 frames per second, which means that your items broke twice as fast. So it turns out that the PC version were playing hard mode and didn't even know it.
But at the same time, your invincibility.
I'm playing the PC version. I haven't noticed that, but I've never played it on console. The other one.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I don't know if they fixed that yet. They might have, but it came out a few months ago. People said that. I'm like, wow, that's silly.
It also turns out that your invincibility frames when you roll are tied to the frame rate as well.
God damn it. Well, I suppose they would be, wouldn't they?
Exactly. So a lot of stuff gets affected by that. I played it on console first, and then when we started doing the LP, I started playing it on PC, and it's just gorgeous at 60 frames. It's so nice that they actually figured it out this time around.
Yeah, the first one was very disappointing to me because a lot of us really put a lot of effort into campaigning for that because we really wanted it on PC, and then it came out. The PC version was tosh, and it had to be fixed by modders. And I'm told that if you play Dark Souls now, you'll probably be fine. You can unlock it to 60. There are some problems with it, but it's not too bad. So it's worth a shot at 60. And Dark Souls is still, from what many people say, a better game than Dark Souls 2 is. The critique that Matthew Matosis did on Dark Souls 2 was very, very good, and it demonstrated what Dark Souls 2 kind of does wrong in comparison to the original Dark Souls. I'm still a bit of a lover of Demon Souls, honestly. I actually loved the way that game did its lore, and I learned a lot about the characters, and I felt like I cared more about the characters in Demon Souls than I did about in the characters in Dark Souls. And there's a bunch of stuff that works really well in that game, but Dark Souls also improves on Demon Souls in many good ways as well.
The lore in general being handled by you pick up an item and read its description, and that's the only piece of information you're getting is fantastic. That's great stuff right there.
It rewards exploration in a really good way, because that's literally how you learn things is by exploring and finding things out and talking to people. But Jesse?
I mean, that's one of the things I hate most about it.
Really?
Yeah,
God, I love that.
You want hand-holding?
No, you shouldn't. Story hand-holding, that's stupid as shit, is what that is. Gameplay hand-holding, that's different. But story hand-holding? I mean, there's a lot of potential there beyond just the initial opening to, give you good story tidbits. And then extra stuff is from reading and things like that. I think a good example of that was Dishonored. Dishonored gave you a story. There was a basic story going on with it, and it gave you hints as to what was going on in the outside world. And if you read every damn book in the game, you were like, well, now I'm kind of pissed that they didn't show me what was going on in the outside world, because it's much cooler than what's happening in the game. And it gave you this hint, beyond the story that you got. And I think that did a really good job. I just, I think it's the same thing that I have a problem with Destiny, where it's sorry, go read about the story elsewhere. And it's, to an extent, the problem that I have sometimes with what Blizzard's doing now, where they make 1 billion books and they're like, read all these books if you want to know what's happening in Diablo now. What? No! Put it in your game!
Are you,
Sorry, go ahead.
Are you a fan of Shadow of the Colossus, Jesse?
Here's the thing. Yes.
Okay, so you know what I'm about to say then, right?
I do definitely know, and I think it might be nostalgia on that one. I can't figure out why I love it so much, but I definitely that.
No, that game's still great.
It's so good. I want to replay that game now that we're talking about it.
But I think the concept of that game is much cooler than the actual what's going on in it. It's very cool to play that game. It's one of those things. Also, there's a horse, man.
Yeah. Aggro, man. Aggro. Yeah.
A waterfall of tears.
But I that was one of the first experiences I had of there is nothing told to you. Just try to swing your sword. Oh wait, it sucks. You can't. You're a little kid. Hold your sword up and maybe you'll figure out where to go. But that whole thing. I feel like there's just so few of those games out there that when a game like Dark Souls comes along, it's a reaction to the fact that there's too much hand-holding. So maybe they go a bit further than, you would expect if they had a fairer balance of games that did hold your hand and games that didn't. But since it's like a violent sort of like, no, we are not helping you. We're not telling you anything. You will die, you will die, you will die. And then you'll figure it out and love it. I think that's kind of why it went as extreme as it did.
Well, I definitely I agree with you there. I think gameplay hand holding, it's great. I think that's fantastic. They were like, no, we're not going to do that. I think that kind of thing works very, very well. It's more the story aspects and things like that I'm concerned. Like, plot wise, that's all I'm concerned about.
But Jesse,
gameplay, story hand, like F that. Like if they have to hold your hand to, I think that's one of the problems I have at the start of BioShock Infinite. It was very like, let us hold your hand through the intro and learn how to play. And I was like, But the story I thought was great. So whatever.
Well, I mean,
I think
Dodger. You've got to really. I don't think you can compare Destiny to Dark Souls storytelling because the storytelling is still done within the world. It's not like you need to go onto YouTube to find out what the story is, although it bloody well helps. In the case of Dark Souls, you can make the connections yourself by reading the item descriptions in the game, and that's in your inventory screen. And then you can figure out a lot of what's happened by observing the world. I don't think you need to refer to external sources, but I think if you do, you'll figure things out a lot quicker.
But I mean,
it's one of those things where they. I'm sorry. Go.
All I was going to say is that one of the things that has really grown the community around Dark Souls is the fact that things aren't entirely certain. Some things you have to speculate about and kind of try to figure out, oh man, is this connected to this? Like, did this happen because this thing happened over here? Like, the world is very well put together. So I think that's one of the reasons why going to each area and like finding a boss and being like, oh my God, why is this boss made out of human bodies, right? You just and trying to learn more and more about why these areas exist and what these monsters are. And I really love that aspect of the game. And now I have a scorpion best friend. Look, this game's perfect.
Oh, Mad Scorpion Tark.
I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, Scorpion Tark, he's the best. It's like, you're gonna be my best friend forever.
It rings of Lost, is all I'm saying. It reminds me of when Lost existed, when things
the last boss is just going to be smoke. It's just going to be smoke.
It reminds me of like things existed in that show that were connected in some way but made no sense. And so an entire community, which I was a part of, grew up around like, what the fuck did that mean? And what is that? How's that connected to this? And it was just there. Like, there was no connection. It was just there. And we created the existence and the reason for it. And I feel like that's the thing with Dark Souls, is they just thought, you know what, that's a really cool looking boss. Let's make that. And people were like, well, we're going to make the story for it, which is fine. That's really awesome for a community. But for a game, I'm like, I would actually like to know what the plot of that was. Right? I don't know.
There are always things that hint at it.
And there's some things that even lie to you directly. Like, you'll fight a boss with a name and then read the soul that you get afterwards and realize, wait, no, that is not at all what that was. And I guess I know what you kind of mean when you say Lost, because the less information communities get about a certain thing, the more they put into it. I always remember when the Matrix Reloaded came out, and the big thing at the end of that was like, oh my God, Neo used his powers outside of the Matrix. What happened?
And everyone thought that he was in the Matrix.
Matrix within a Matrix theory.
Yes.
And I read this 20-page like fucking write-up on what that could have meant and what this wraps it like, and it was amazing. It was like, oh my God, the Matrix is genius. And then the third movie came out and it was like, no, it's all shit. It was not what you thought.
Yeah,
it was none of that.
We thought it was much cooler than it actually turned out.
Yeah, that was just the Wachowski brothers fucking up, though. Really.
Yeah. So
reminds me a bit of Inception as well, where he deliberately left that hanging too right at the end. And there's all sorts of theories surrounding that. Or hell, even the Mass Effect 3 indoctrination theory. But to be fair, that sprung up because the ending was bollocks.
So bad, yeah.
So it's like, we've got to make up something that justifies why we just wasted God knows how long on this game. That theory was fairly compelling.
I do got to say, though... Oh, so go ahead.
No, go for it.
When you mentioned the Matthew Matosis review, it was really funny because after getting to a certain point in the game, Pat sat me down and he's like, okay, now watch this review because I want you to see something specific. And he makes some criticisms about like how some enemies are just placed in ways where it's like, this is not fun. This is not a well-placed enemy by comparison to Dark Souls 1. You kind of just back out of their zone and fight them through a doorway that they can't get through for a while. And the exact example that he showed was something that I literally did in the game barely half an hour before, and I was like, wow, okay, like this review is really spot on. I can definitely see that despite how much I love this, like I can't wait to go even further back. It was a really good review. Shout outs to Matthew Matosis. That was great.
Yeah, his channel's really good. He doesn't produce that many videos, but when he does, he produces something that's very well researched. Dodger, what have you been playing this week?
I finally got Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright.
Ah, yes.
And
nice.
That game has been really fun. I wasn't sure what to expect because I was concerned they were going to try to awkwardly mash together the play styles of each game because the games don't play similarly at all.
No, not at all.
So I was a little bit worried about that. Really, the only thing that they did was they unified the art style. They made it so that the art across the board is pretty much the same.
Phoenix Wright doesn't have dots for eyes, though, does he? Because that'd be really weird.
No.
Okay.
No. It's more like I don't mean art style in that they changed the faces to all look like they're in the same world. It's more just like the way that things are outlined, the way that things are colored, like all of that is the same. So it all looks like it's in the same sort of 3D constructed world.
Okay.
And they so far in the game they switch you back and forth because the characters don't start off in the same place. So you start off with Layton, and I was playing as Layton for a while, and I was like, man, is this just going to be like a Layton game? And then something happens, a catalyst, if you will. A catalyst happens, and then suddenly you're in Phoenix Wright, and they keep all of the same like Phoenix Wright sounds. They keep it the same way that you would see things, like the way that you interact with characters and the noises and your actions are exactly the same, but it still feels like it's all in the same world because of the art. So it's kind of a cool way to do it. I'm excited to get further into it and see how they balance that once everything is starting to kind of intertwine, because you can already see it starting to intertwine. So I'm wondering how they're going to do that deeper into the game. But so far it's super fun. The pacing is good. And the one thing that I hate in games where I'm supposed to be playing as like a super smart person, right, is when I figure something out before
oh my god, yeah,
anybody else figures this out.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Immersion shattering.
Yeah, so there's like a mystery, right? Layton always has his little slots for these are all of the mysteries we need to solve. And the very first mystery, I was like, this is not a mystery. This is very obvious. This is an extremely obvious thing right now. And like nobody's figured it out. I'm just like, like, it's driving me nuts. But
yeah,
I'm sure it'll all come together.
It that can pull me out of a story when that happens, because it's straight up like, yeah, no, it's Sherlock Holmes is going to be solving this case or whatever, and then you're like, no, but I figured it out. Why is he asking questions? Stop it.
Stop asking questions. This is so obvious. Just do
the yeah. Are you solving puzzles in court? Or
no. So like the game starts off with you as like Layton and Luke just in your little office in London, right? And it does a quick little cutscene. There are a lot of really nice animated cutscenes, by the way, as well, which is super fun. But they do like a quick little cutscene that's, you know, Phoenix and Maya, and they're in a plane flying to London on exchange, right? So that's the explanation for why they're in London.
Okay. And
then they go back to Layton, and basically a girl shows up in the office with a book and telling you that she's being chased by somebody. And so from there it kind of develops, and you're like, oh, well, let's help this girl. Let's figure this out. And then a bunch of stuff happens, and then they switch you to Phoenix. And Phoenix has no idea, like, any of the stuff that's been going on. So he's just like, well, I'm in London on exchange. And I'm like, Phoenix. So much has happened. So, yeah, It's really fun. It's really it's goofy in all the ways that you love those games to be goofy, and I'm excited to see how it develops. Basically, is bottom line.
Yeah, I need to pick that up. It has Phoenix Wright in it, so I want it.
God damn it! That was incredible. That was
seamlessly.
That was the most TB-esque. Usually, what happens if you watch this podcast is Dodge will say something about an anime game, and TV will just be like, yeah, no, that sounds great. This time, he literally got up, left the room, came back, and goes, yeah, I need to pick that up. That sounds great. All right, moving on.
What can I say? I'm a fucking pro.
This is pro.
Yep.
Well done.
We had someone knocking on the door because of those, so, you know. I had to,
Hello.
Building the new rig, so my SSDs just came in, and I think I'm waiting on my 980s and my water cooling, and then we can build. Don't you even fucking dare, Jesse, considering the shit that you got for free. Don't you dare. And you don't get to do it either, Dodger.
I built it, and it's so good. Oh, my goodness. It's nice and fast and beautiful.
Mine's slightly better. Mine's
I'm getting 980s too, man. I got to keep up with you.
All right, I'm going to have to get a couple more then. Let's get 4 in this thing. Let's go.
I want you to turn on. It goes...
I wanted to set it up so it makes the noise
Iron
of a
Man.
drag racer when I just turn it on. It's like... Vroom, vroom.
You have to rev it by pressing the start button.
Well, you know, I was very tempted because someone linked this insanely Ann Lee case, which is a steam train. Like, it's a fucking steam train. Like, I'm going to build this as a render farm, and I'm going to call it the money train, and it's going to sit under my desk, and I'll put a little fog machine in the top. So every time I turn it on, there's a puff of smoke. Or, like, at the end of it in code for Adobe Premiere, it's like, woo-woo, and then some fucking smoke comes out the top of it. That would be awesome.
That would be amazing.
Oh my god.
To be fair.
I gotta build in that case. That's just too adorable. I could make a LAN box out of that. Like, take it to LAN parties. Like, here's my PC. Bang! It's this fucking train. Put some little wheels on it. I could drag it around. It'd be great.
I gotta join the master race someday, man. Like I'm talking to you guys off of a laptop. You know, like
Oh, we could tell. Like, even the frame rate on your webcam isn't quite there.
No, it's awful. It's awful. I'm just console fanboy, whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah, but no, there's good reasons to get a decent PC. I'm actually planning to just buy Pat's PC when he's done with it.
Sure.
When he decides to cycle things up and buy all the stuff that you were just talking about. So
yeah, the 970s are ridiculously good value for the fucking power they have. Like they're also like really low power consumption as well, so you don't need as crazy a power supply. I think a lot of people are waiting for the non-enthusiast stuff of the i7 5s to come out, because right now it's all like enthusiast level, like really high power 6 or 8 core. Right now, you don't really need 6 cores, like, unless you're encoding a lot of video. And even then, like, there's some of the games I play don't even use more than 2. Like, fucking StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm can't use more than 2. So my others are just sitting there like, we want to help. It's like, no, stay out. There's only room for 2 in this shop.
Want to help.
Reminds me of
so sad.
Reminds me of the shops that I used to go to when I was a kid in the north of England that had a sign on the door that says, only 2 unattended children at any time. It was like that.
Damn kids keep robbing the store.
Pretty much, yeah. That's actually exactly why they did it. Only 2 unattended kids at any given time, because they just nick stuff. Welcome to the north of England. Enjoy your stay. We're a bunch of thieves. But yeah, the 970 is really great value, and there's. I imagine once the prices of DDR4 have come down a bit, and once they get out the new stuff, it's pretty good. But hell, I mean, you can buy in now at the i7 4s, and they're all really good. So. Yeah, things are getting good. I mean, even the SSDs don't cost that much. I mean, a 480.
What's the damage?
A 480 gig SSD. These ones let me just have a quick look. I think they were like 230 each for a 400.
Shout out to Amazon. They had a weird, like, one of those crazy sales. And I got a 1 terabyte SSD for $163. Samsung.
What? Sick.
That's fucking insane.
I know.
Actually, I paid. What was it? Oh yeah, I think these were 370 each. But the 240s are a lot cheaper than that, and these are like the high-end kind of performance drives. You can get much cheaper SSDs. Like even a couple of years ago, 480 gig SSD costing him close to that would be unthinkable. So, prices are coming down hard on that stuff. It's good. It's good.
Word.
I can't wait for the days when Amazon is going to deliver these to our houses with drones.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
It just drops your computer parts on the ground and flies away.
No.
Yeah.
Delivered.
And you're just like, oh, the future's beautiful.
I told you guys about the UPS guy who puts our packages on our deck, right?
No.
What?
No, you didn't.
Okay, so I had ordered something and it never showed up and I was really concerned. And so I looked at my Amazon and it said it had been delivered. And I called and they were like, no, it's definitely been delivered. So I go looking around in my building and I realize that the package is on the deck. And this had happened before. This has happened twice now. Sam found a package on the deck once, and then I found a package on the deck. We went to look it up, and some UPS guys will, climb up buildings to put packages that they think are sensitive material on your decks.
Whoa. Okay.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Can you pronounce deck more?
Deck.
Thank you. That's all.
Not dick.
That's all.
If you could just put your package on my dick, that would be great.
Yeah, right.
Oh, we're finally gone there. All right.
There we go.
So,
do you guys have the countdown timer to dick jokes too? Because we do that on our podcast all the time. No. It's like
we don't need a countdown timer. We use our fingers. It's like, well, it's either is Jesse on the show? If yes, no need for countdown timer. It's all good.
Okay.
We did a good job though. I think I was 56 minutes before actually dropping the first real one, so that's not too bad. Although we did make a couple of more subtle references earlier. See if you noticed them in the VOD, but there you go.
It's all innuendo, guys.
Yep. The hidden dick is the most dangerous dick, after all.
The hidden dick is the most dangerous dick.
That is some Sun Tzu shit right there. The hidden dick is the most dangerous dick. There's a guy in office reading that right now. He's like, I get that. I'll be president of the company by the end of the week.
Oh, God. Yeah, so what else have you been playing, Dodger?
We can talk about Gauntlet, right?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, that's out of embargo. I haven't played much of it. I tried to play it solo, and it was fucking terrible. I like that. That is a game.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like it solo.
I've been playing it solo, and I've been enjoying it.
It seems like it's got to be a co-op game. That one.
It's Gauntlet.
Yeah.
It has to be.
It's supposed to be a co-op game. Mm-hmm. But what class did you play as?
I tried two of them. I tried the Valkyrie, and I tried the Wizard. The Wizard uses...
Wizard is so difficult.
Yeah, because he uses a similar system to Magicka, like where you combine elements into spells. I think you got, 6 spells? Because I think it's just a 2-element combined system. That was a bit tricky. Valkyrie is just kind of sword and board, but you get to throw your shield as well. She's pretty good.
I've been playing Elf, the Elf Ranger type.
Okay.
And it's been smooth sailing, man. You drop bombs and do big old AoE damage. You can get good range and just shoot everybody. It's super simple. Eventually I'll have to graduate to a different class, but if you're just starting out on that game, Elf, easy mode.
I mean, I don't have much to say about Gauntlet. Except that as the winner of the PAX 2014 Gauntlet Championship,
big man.
I feel like, you need to get on my level. You need to get level, teacher. Get on my level.
Yeah.
Should we play together, Jesse? You want to play Gauntlet together?
I won the first few rounds. As the Questor, the elf. And then when they gave Questor to someone else because life is unfair, I then proceeded to win the tournament as the warrior, and I did it in the dickiest way possible. Like when they would try to run up the top of the screen and move on to grab all the gems and chests and stuff, I would go to the very bottom and wait and be like, "We're not going till you all come down here with me." And so I just totally dicked everyone over. It was like,
so are we actually going to start co-optional plays, and should we start it with Gauntlet? Because that sounds
oh my god, yes.
Let's do that this week. Yeah,
Gauntlet's a ton of fun.
Although I can guarantee that you didn't win one of these, Jesse.
I don't know what that is.
That is a Dragon Slayer Award for second year running, most notable gaming personality, aka the Better Than Totalbiscuit Award, right here.
Yeah.
I don't.
Did you
wait,
just
hold
spawn
on. Wait,
that
wait.
in your lap? Like, where did that come from? You just pulled it out, at the ready.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have one of these at the ready. I mean, we can.
Wait a minute.
Oh, this one? I mean, we could. Oh, do you want this one? Is it this one or this one? Would you prefer?
No, can we?
I keep this stuff close by.
Jesus.
Can we bring up a fundamental point here? You had to beat out Totalbiscuit to win that. He's a personality who plays games. He's not a gaming. Like, literally, you had no competition there. The dude.
I can't remember who else was on the list.
Probably like
Will Wheaton was on the list. So that's now that's the third time in a row that I've beaten Will Wheaton at something now. So once at King of Tokyo and then twice in that award show.
Again. If anyone on that list, you probably deserve it the most, because that's your job. Like, everyone else is sort of like, we do a bunch of things and we play games on the side. Like, that's what you do. Like,
This is the trophy that I'm most proud of, however.
Chocolate.
It's a lie. It's bullshit.
Dumb question about Gauntlet. Like, when I saw the original footage of it, it seemed like the camera was super zoomed out and you couldn't see what was going on, and it was just flashes of color. Can you roll back and forth to get a little bit closer to the action there?
Actually, I haven't tried.
I haven't tried either.
What do you mean?
Like, can you zoom in?
Zoom into your character to make it a bit easier to see what's going on.
Yeah, because it was just the first thing I noticed, It was very hard to see what was going on.
Everything has been pretty clear. They keep you to a pretty static zone. So I haven't had any problems with that.
Because it's just a wall. They don't let you get outside of the, there's a certain length you can go from another character before it cuts you off. And so I've never seen it get too crazy where someone's way down here and someone's way up here and you can't see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Gauntlet is not a game of precision, I feel, especially in co-op. It's very hack and slash, which is exactly what you'd expect from it. But it does feel like, in order to really get any impression of that game, I'm going to have to play with others. Because on my own, I just, what the hell's the point? I might as well just go play Diablo, because it's got better loot and more monsters and more skills. This is very much a get your friends together, hack and slash, revive each other, argue over who gets the chicken,
Oh, no, you just take it.
Of course. Red Wizard needs food badly.
That's how I won that.
You know what? I hate that you can shoot the food. Like, you can hit the food and it disappears.
This is going to be perfect for the inaugural episode of our show.
Yeah, there's always, every time I do it, there's a narrator voice that's like, you shot the food. That wasn't very smart. Come on! Why can't I still eat it?
The wizard, even though he's the hardest to use, is the most powerful character in that game. That dude wrecks house.
He's got serious AoE. He's got a reliable escape. He's got all sorts of utility. But he is... If you're panicking in the middle of a fight and you put in the wrong combination of elements and just throw out some random shit, then it doesn't help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to have to play that this week to get some kind of a real feel for a Gauntlet, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's about time to take a break. When we come back, we'll round up what we've been playing this week, because me and Jessie haven't really talked too much about that, and of course Dodger might have played some other anime bullshit. She usually does, so...
Jesus Christ.
I'm sure we can come up with that. But outside of... Hang on a minute. Outside of that...
Happening to you.
He's trying to find a song to play. Or get
No, I'm good. No, I was just removing someone from the chat that put some random dodgy link, so I just happened to get rid of that. It's like, someone actually spent $5 to post the dodgy link in the Twitch chat, so thanks for the cash.
Good job.
Good job. Yep, we're going to the break. When we come back, we'll be talking a little bit more about what we've been playing this week, and then we'll move on to the news. You are watching the Co-Optional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-Optional Podcast.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
I had a good break.
Hello.
I ate one of these. Shamelessly promoting Lindt Lindor Citrus Truffles. Goddamn awesome. Yeah.
Citrus truffles.
Yeah. They are lemon lime flavored.
Ooh, go on.
Yes.
Fancy.
That and the devastation of the Haichu bag This happens every time.
Oh yeah. Oh no, absolutely. Haichu.
Yeah,
Hell
man.
yes.
I love those so much.
Too damn legit, these things. They now stock them in our local supermarket, so it's over. It's over now.
We have the these ones, the tiny strips of them, but we don't have bags of Haichus.
Yeah, whenever one of these gets opened, it lasts about 10 minutes. It's just gone. It's just more strawberry. Oh God, I feel terrible.
It's
so
like
good.
gum you can swallow. It's genius.
Yeah.
Oh, delicious.
Yeah, it's
not in your mouth.
Just awful. Wow. All right. So yes, Dodger. Let's continue. Have you played anything else this week?
Nothing else new.
Cool.
No.
Have you beaten Hatterful Boyfriend on all of the different endings?
No, I have. I'm currently doing my 5th ending, and there are 14 endings. So we found a secret
14?
bird. 14 endings. We found a secret bird and got his ending. So that's the last. That's
the hidden
last
bird is the
that I put
deadliest, so I'm told.
I mean, that's what they say.
Of course.
But man, it's like, if you play a lot of dating sims, Hatoful Boyfriend makes fun of every dating sim while simultaneously being an amazing dating sim. We were talking about this during sound check.
Okay.
It's the same as if you read a lot of manga, One Punch Man is the most incredible satire of every shonen battle manga in the world, while also being an incredible shonen battle manga. That's how I feel about Hatoful Boyfriend. It's just God, this is so fun and so good, and I actually care about all these fucking weird birds with anime faces. It's just.
I found it similar, because I don't play dating sims. The only visual novels I play are called Phoenix Wright. So. Yeah. I was still I enjoyed it. I thought the writing was good. This is in the polar opposite to Kill the Kill that supposedly parodies and lampoons a bunch of stuff. I'm no, I'm sorry, maybe I just haven't watched enough anime, but I don't get it. This just looks like pervy shit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Hatoful Boyfriend is, it's actually quite a surprisingly good game, and that's weird for me to say that, but it is.
The whole time that I've been playing this game so far, there's always at least a few people in my comment section that are no offense, but TB's Oko-san voice is better.
My Oko-san voice is fucking incredible. I'm sorry.
I'm sure his Oko-san voice is amazing.
That started a bunch of nonsense. People Photoshop me onto a pigeon and all sorts of shit like that.
It's so good.
Yeah. That tired me out, man. Voice acting and shouting that much is fuck, this is exhausting.
Yeah.
I thought my favorite thing about that game was just the awesome art style and the choice of pigeons as a main thing. But you were just implying before that there's a mise-en-scène Children of Men apocalyptic story going on as well. That's that's implied. That's
but you don't
awesome.
in any way. It's implied. It's hang on, why is the main character living in a cave? Why are there no other humans? What the fuck is happening?
Yeah, apparently once you get most of the other endings, you can then possibly unlock the true ending, and that explains what's happened to the world. Okay. So I'm I need them all. I need every ending. So that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah. I'm told, Woolie, that you're somewhat of a fan of Kill the Kill.
Yeah, I like Kill the Kill.
Yeah,
I like it.
I enjoy Kill the Kill.
It's mainly because the anime that I tend to subscribe to is the guys that made this also made a show called Gurren Lagann, and it's just over the top hype robots going to the moon, going to space,
right?
Amazing, crazy, over the top shit, and
pierces the heavens.
Pierces the heavens, exactly. So, Kill la Kill, I just kind of felt it was a slow start, but once it warmed up, I like the constant escalation of everything to the point of just insanity.
I've told it does go to ludicrous levels.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the second you start to feel you're getting it, or you're okay, I'm in it now. I understand what's going on. They do something, you're I don't get this show at all. I don't know what's going on. Yeah.
And the whole thing with the tight dresses and the way they look and stuff, it's it's really silly and just okay, that's super cheesecake. But like by the end of the show, there's things where there's straight up nudity on screen, but the events happening are so much more holy shit that it doesn't even matter. You're not even paying attention to that. It's hard to explain.
I can't ignore that. I tried to get past it. I'm just like, I can't, I just can't do it. So I tried to stick to anime that doesn't pull that shit, which is, frankly, there is some.
Like, I don't think necessarily that it's supposed to be a satire of other anime. I know that people keep saying that, but originally they were saying that it was a metaphor for like puberty, for women accepting their bodies. And so like something that I did notice while watching it is that the longer that you watch it, the less you care about them like not wearing much clothing. And I was like, I don't know if that was intended or not, but the fact that they're constantly wearing less and less and less clothing and you eventually just accept it as like, well, that's her. She's gonna beat a dude up with no clothes on.
Yeah,
like,
and that's
you start to accept that she's just like a girl with a body, and she's like, whatever, I'm naked, I don't care, I'm gonna beat these guys up. It's interesting. It's an interesting show, I think.
It's really weird and hard to explain that like naked girls on screen is not the focus of what they're trying to do there. I'm having such a hard time trying to think of a parallel, but I guess like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. Right. There's a moment. There's a character in that, the boss, and she's one of my favorite female characters. She's the greatest. And there's a moment in that where like she kind of opens up her shirt to show like a scar that she had from when like a pregnancy went wrong and things like that. And it's kind of like it could be viewed as a sexual thing where she's showing off her body, but because of this plot and what's happening at that point, you really don't interpret it that way. And I guess that's the closest thing to a similar feeling with the way Kill la Kill goes is, like Dodger said, they're fighting with no clothes on at a certain point, and you're just like, I'm not even looking at that, specifically
I find it difficult just to get past that, really.
I hear you.
I could definitely see like the boss comparison is, it's like, that inherently doesn't have to be sexual, but the show is very clearly sexual. It's just what exactly is the purpose of it being sexual, and that kind of, I mean, that's where the death of the author argument comes in, doesn't it? Because it's going to be a different interpretation depending on who watches it. And I just can't get into it. I can't get past that. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to watch other stuff. I just finished Psychopaths, and it's probably one of the best animes I've ever seen.
Hearing a lot of good things about Psychopaths. Yeah,
I mean, it could very easily just be a live action series and be a really good series. Simple as that.
All the anime seasons are ending right now. Tokyo Ghoul is over, and Monte Grosso no Zaki-kun is over.
That just sounded like a bunch of random letters that you just put together.
I'm so sad. All my favorite shows from this season are done.
Dodger, are you a JoJo fan?
Yeah, man.
Nice. Good. JoJo's going to continue for a while. It's okay.
I know it is. All
right.
Yes,
let's
Jesse.
head on back to some video games, shall we?
I gave
unless
up.
Jesse has a comment.
No, I gave up and read the ending of Hatafu Boyfriend.
Don't say anything. I don't want to know.
I won't say anything. I will say that.
Don't say anything.
Not a thing. Like zero.
Don't say anything, Jesse. Jesse!
They're all birds. Dodger, they're all birds.
Stop it, Jesse.
They're all birds.
I know that. Thanks, Jesse.
Unforgivable.
Goddamn asshole. All right. So, yes, other games we've been playing this week. I guess I can talk about Stronghold Crusader 2. I've been playing quite a lot of that. About 10 hours in so far. And it's Stronghold, certainly. But then it's a mess. Like, I'm going to be honest. You can still play it and enjoy it, especially since really you don't have that many other choices if you want to be playing a game about building a castle and defending it and then sieging other castles. But it's so obviously low budget and really ropey in many places that it's going to put a lot of people off. And that's actually the history of Firefly, the developer behind it. They keep releasing Stronghold games that are a mess on launch. Stronghold 3 was a fucking disaster. It got a lot better afterwards, but the Stronghold Legends and Stronghold 2 as well were a mess. And this was when they transitioned to full 3D. Everything went to hell. They released the original Stronghold and Stronghold Crusader. They were both kind of isometric sprite-based games. Yeah. and they were actually pretty damn good. There wasn't all that much wrong with them. And then they went all the way up to the 3D engine, and then everything went to hell from there. And they've been trying to release a version of Stronghold that doesn't suck ever since. And Crusader 2 is probably the best shot at it yet, but it's still a fucking mess. Like, the AI does some really, really stupid things. Like, here's an example. I was fighting against the AI on this big map where it's a 2v2 and it's deliberately asymmetrical, like one of the guys is deliberately more powerful, and I actually kind of like that about the maps because they set up some very interesting and unique scenarios, like there's some maps where you've got to change your unit composition because resources aren't readily available, or you've got to change the strategy that you use to assault the castle because this guy has the high ground and all that kind of stuff, and I like that a lot. That's actually great. But I was fighting against this guy, and I had a bunch of archers and a bunch of crossbowmen, and they were pretty damn powerful. And he sends a bunch of units in, and I have this one barricade, and it's completely out of the way. Like, there's no way this barricade would block off anything. What do? Instead of attacking my archers, they go to beat up the barricade before they come in. Like, and there's all sorts of other really stupid things where they ignore obvious targets of opportunity and decide to do other shit. And it's like, you are acting like an idiot right now, and I'm able to exploit you completely. There was a neutral camp on one of the maps where they had a bunch of Arabian swordsmen, and swordsmen in that game have really good armor, so regular bowmen have a very hard time killing them. Arrows just kind of bounce off. You need crossbowmen with armor-piercing bolts to really take them down. But it didn't matter because I put my archers there and I just started shooting at the bowmen, and the bowmen didn't. The swordsmen, they didn't fucking move. Like, they didn't try to get out of range, and they didn't try to come and attack me either. They just stood there and took it, and it was the most ludicrous fucking nonsense. And the game has pathfinding issues. Control of units in that game is very tricky. It's very imprecise. Like, if you played in like a game like StarCraft, the control of each unit is very precise. Like, you have full control of everything. In this, if you move your army, it'll randomly start fighting things that are kind of nearby, and it's hard to disengage, and you can't really do anything like that's micro-intensive. Like, you see one of your guys getting low, you try and pull him back, you can't really do that. It's very, very imprecise. But I think it's also a game that's designed around building a big, massive army and just kind of the overall grand strategy of it instead of individual control. So it's not too bad, but I think it's definitely going to need several patches. That stuff is definitely fixable, no doubt. And it's a decent enough effort. I still had some fun with it. Like, you've built up a big castle, put some boiling oil on the walls, and roast the fools to get anywhere near you. That's still fucking fun. Putting cages full of war dogs around and releasing them as the enemy comes in, or digging a pitch ditch and lighting it with a burning arrow. All of that shit you can still do. And they've added in a bunch of new interesting siege equipment like fire carts, which is just two guys pushing a cart that's on fire so you can go and set people's spawns alight.
Perfect.
They put in new units like a slave driver that you can add into a group of slaves, which all they do is carry torches and they burn shit. But you put a slave driver in the group, it kind of has an area of effect buff. You can add sergeant at arms to unit compositions where it'll give them an armor buff. There's like healer units. They just added a bunch more stuff that you can choose from when it comes to your army. Although they didn't really change the economy too much. It's decent fun, but it's hard to recommend at full price right now because it's such a goddamn mess.
Bad pathing and AI can like ruin a game like that.
Absolutely.
That's so critical, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. I think that maybe in multiplayer it's probably a lot better, but the AI is definitely a bit of a mess in that game, without a doubt.
Something about whenever a 2D game has to make a jump to 3D, that it's such a make or break point.
Oh yeah.
For so many IPs, and it's just, you know, like I'm
Sonic.
Sonic. Remember Worms?
Oh God!
Remember
Worms
that
3D?
shit?
What a fucking mess!
Just ruined it. You know,
Yeah, it's the point where they
such
shifted
a
back to 2D. You know?
Yeah, it's just such a hard jump to make. Even like Earthworm Jim 3D, like if you go way far back, and it just you know, you got to do it. You got to take your time and make sure everything is identical and just precise with it. I think Street Fighter 4 is like a great example of like nailing that. StarCraft did a pretty good job of that too, you know, but it's just, you'll sink or swim when you make that jump.
Bubsy.
But then that became the greatest thing afterwards.
Oh, obviously.
So,
yeah. Obviously. Lemmings. Oh, Lemmings 3D. Fuck that game.
Oh, Lemmings, lol.
Like, you have to kind of wonder. It's like at that point, it's like, is it even worth it? I mean, if you just made higher res HD sprites, people would still appreciate it.
What the fuck is high res Lemmings? Can someone explain that to me? I mean, I know we just got Flockers from Team 17, I think, which is Lemmings-esque, but why the hell didn't we get a high definition Lemmings game?
We don't need big poly shiny 3D.
No, was there a call out there for like the kids want it? The
Lemmings
kids
sold
want the HD
millions. Lemmings was ridiculously popular, and then they just balked the series up completely.
I don't think it would still be popular.
I'm gonna agree with Dodger on this one. I think times have changed. I don't. Yeah, I'm with the D on this.
Maybe. What else?
There's love for sprites out there. I think if.
Well, that's different.
Of course.
Sprites, I mean, that's different. I think Lemmings as a game, though.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's one of those chicken and the egg things, isn't it? It's like if you don't make a new one, then we don't know whether or not it's actually going to be popular or not. People declared point and clicks dead for the longest time, and then suddenly big resurgence, and actually people do still buy point and clicks. Who fucking knew, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What else have I been playing outside of Heroes of the Storm, which I believe is having its reset on Friday, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to having to level up all the fucking talents again. Here's my hope with it. Here's my hope with this reset, right? They remove that mechanic completely. That would be lovely. That would pretty much fix everything about that game, in my opinion.
The reset? That would just, I mean, if they didn't reset, that would fix everything. That would fix all my problems.
No. I'm talking about the talent
leveling
gating.
system,
the
you
talent
dummy.
gating. Yeah.
I mean, if they just got rid of that reset, that'd be great.
Jesse's not even listening. Ever. That's just complete bollocks. Outside of that, I've been playing a bit of Wasteland 2, and I'm pretty happy with that game. Very, very Fallout 2-esque. Yeah. And as it really should be when you think about it, the original Fallout was inspired by the original Wasteland. Most people didn't play Wasteland, but they did play Fallout. That's where Fallout came from. And it's a game that throws you right into it. And it's just like, hey, go explore this world. Like, within 5 minutes, you're out on this desert map you have this map that says, so it's kind of over here, go. And you've got 60 days of water to try and explore the map, and you can get attacked by bandits, which takes you into battles. You can find different areas, places that are completely hidden away. So the exploration aspect's there, and then you can do all sorts of things by just talking. Like on the first mission, there was a bunch of bandits there, and I just smart Alek'd my way through them by confusing the guy with logic, because I had like +7 charisma, or actually
nice.
3 points. I picked 3 points in smart ass for my Totalbiscuit character, and 1 point in toaster repair. So there is a skill called toaster repair. Apparently, very good skill. You can get unique drops out of toasters in that game. So who knew? There you go.
Yeah, but I downloaded Wasteland 2. Man, it was a big download.
It was, yeah. It's a huge game. Apparently, it's like.
Yeah.
I asked. I actually asked the devs. So, like, in my stream will I run into my character, because I did the whole the backing thing where I got to put a character in the game with my Kickstarter tier. It's like you don't have a chance of getting to that in a stream. Like, you're gonna have to play for days to meet him. Like, what, days? Like, there's that much content? Apparently, yes. It's huge. The game is fucking massive. So. Yeah. It is very Fallout-esque in that respect, and it is a classic CRPG. It's got a lot of dialogue, it's got tactical combat. The combat's pretty good. I mean, it's nothing special, but it's good. It just reminds me of Fallout 2, and I can dig that. And it's got permadeath. So I made the questionable decision of sending my only surgeon character, as in the only person that can revive, to go and open a box. The box had explosives rigged to it. She fell into a coma and died, and I couldn't do shit. So I'm like, here's a skill I'm going to learn on all my other characters. Surgeon!
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Pills the Surgeon. You never got a chance to truly flourish. I'm sorry.
Sweet, sweet pills.
Sweet pills. Oh, dear.
It's always great to hear, like, a Kickstarter thing is doing what everyone wanted it to do perfectly. Like, I'm really happy that it's delivering on the promise of Wasteland. It's been how many years since the Kickstarter? Like 2?
2, yeah.
2, yeah.
It took about 2 years.
It was one of the early huge ones.
Yes,
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it raised over $2 million. It did well. And it seems like they spent the budget well. I think the only criticisms that I currently have of it are aesthetically, it's not that impressive. You know, it looks like an old CRPG as well. You know?
Yeah.
And it's not. It doesn't do a brilliant job on indicating like where cover is on the map, because it's like there is a cover system in the game, but unlike say the new XCOM where it's very clear as to what kind of cover you're going into, the game doesn't seem to really have that. But I don't know. I think it's just common sense for the most part. Yeah, but I've got to play a lot more of that game to get a real impression of it. But what I've played of it so far is actually kind of great. And I also played a preview build of Vanishing of Ethan Carter.
How was that? I got a code for that and I haven't looked at it yet.
It will be your game, I think.
Will it?
Actually, maybe it won't be after what you said about Dark Souls. It's a first-person detective game with a supernatural element to it. So you are expected to wander around a fairly open environment and to investigate some crimes and find out what happened. And you find out what's happened through this kind of vision system where you find important pieces of evidence of the crime, and it slowly builds up this kind of vision. And when you found all the evidence, it shows you parts of what happened. And then what I found in this demo, because of course this was like this was only about an hour long, this preview build, you've got to do a reassembling. You've got to kind of rebuild the crime scene. You've got to put things kind of back where they were, and then you've got to find the order of the events. And I was really surprised by that. Because when I thought I knew what the crime was all about, and then once I got the order right, it showed me what actually happened. I was like, whoa, the person I thought was the bad guy wasn't the bad guy at all. What the fuck is happening? And it's got a great narration style. It's a fucking gorgeous game. Like, it's one of the best looking games I've ever seen. It's visually just mind-blowingly good. Really, really high definition textures, great lighting, awesome atmosphere. Someone described it as a spooky hiking simulator, and I would say that's pretty accurate. And it's also got a lot of story elements and things that you could completely and totally miss. Like, I found in the early area, I went back after solving the kind of main crime, and I found this entirely different part of the story that you could easily just miss entirely. And that's kind of great, because it really rewards exploration. But if you just want to solve the crimes, you can solve the crimes. Yeah,
cool.
That sounds cool.
So far, it's pretty good. I don't know how it's going to get later on. That was only the first hour, but the first hour impressed me quite a bit.
The piecing together the crime scene thing sounds a bit like Murdered Soul Suspect to me.
Yes, it does, but it's got less of the stealth bullshit. Like, as far as I know, there's like no stealth mechanics or choke out demons and bullshit like that.
Oh, God.
It's like pure first-person exploration, detective work with some supernatural elements. Like, there's something going on, like you get some really dark, creepy shit early on in the game. You have no idea what any of it's all about. So, yeah. The VOD of that's over on GOG's stream. GOG gave me the preview build and asked me to stream it, so I did, and so far I'm pretty impressed. But bear in mind, it was just the first hour, so my information is very limited. I'll have a full critique by the time the game's out, I think. I think that was about it. Don't think I played anything else in particular. Nothing really worthy of discussion.
Yeah.
Jesse.
I've got some things. This week I played 4 things, and 4 things only.
All right.
The first is, as we talked about earlier, Destiny. I'm not even going to go into it anymore. I just don't like that game. But everyone I know is playing it, and everyone I know is having a really great time. And I'm just like, why don't I love this game? And so I'm desperately trying to... Are they
on the loot treadmill? Is that why they're enjoying it?
One of my friends is the first guy who hit level 30. It's Naked Halo's roommate, or Naked Eli, whatever his name is. It's his roommate. And so, like, all these people are just, like, the hardcorest players, and they just love it. And I'm like,
Sam is
I could
either...
love this.
Sam is 28 or 29, and he's at the point where he literally just hangs out at that weird spawn cave.
And just...
Cave,
Yeah, because he's like, literally the only way that I can, level up is to grind for legendaries and exotics, and then do the dailies. And he almost brought the PS4 with him to England so that he could do his dailies. Like, that's how into that game he is.
So, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, it's kind of funny because about the level 30 guy, like, I saw the tweet that went out that was like, see, you can get to level 30 without sitting on the game all day and and getting it early and whatever. And it's kind of like a see, we told you guys, and it's like, well, no, because people are sitting in front of the cave, man. That's what they're doing. Like,
they're just using an exploit to do it.
And just to give you an example, as I leveled up, because I did, rather than do missions, because I just did not like them, I spent a day just sitting in front of that cave, and the XP doesn't change. So you watch your thing tick up to, every time there's a wave, you get 170 XP total from that wave. And you watch that tick up every time, and there is no reduction based on your level. So you get a constant amount of XP, and you don't have to do the killing. You can just sit there. And so
that
what they did is
astonishingly stupid. That's the sort of thing that MMOs figured out 10 fucking years ago.
The same number of kills. Wow, what?
Mm-hmm. So what they did to combat this, which makes it even more funny, is first they had their sort of like Rift system, like the game Rift, where stuff would spawn in and you have to do a little event. And that was their first. But what happened is the level 23s, 24s, 25s would just wreck that stuff because it's in a level 3 area, right?
Yeah.
And so then what they did is they instituted, and because I'd never seen it before until the most recent patch, they instituted a thing where a little message appears that's like, hey, the two factions are going to fight each other. So the two bad guy groups. And so all of a sudden, like, shit starts coming out of the walls and things, and then a huge battle goes on right where you're supposed to be standing for this little hole. Except all these level 23s and 24s just murder everyone. And so your little XP is like exploding. And
oh my god.
It's one of those things where it's just like,
I don't know.
So stupid. How would you not realize that this could happen?
That's the biggest oversight. I can't believe it's that basic. Like,
even Blizzard didn't make that mistake with WoW. 10 years ago they didn't fuck up that badly. Come on. And I keep hearing people say, "Oh, it's an MMO." It's like, yeah, but it seems to be an MMO without any of the social elements, which kind of takes away a great deal of what. Most of the time, it seems like, oh, I'm transitioning between maps and I'm in a ship. Like
that is the biggest complaint that I have out of all of it. Even like the boring. I think I tweeted out that it's Borderlands without comedy. Like that's exactly what the game is.
That's my feeling about it as well. It's like, what does the game do better than Borderlands? I don't even like Borderlands 2 that much, and I still think I'd rather play that because at least it's not trying to pretend it's all super serious all the time.
And that's the problem. Yeah,
I know the raid got people for a while. Like it took a long time for people to get through the raid. And it seems like for the most part, the feelings are if we get more raids like raid that, content, it'll be great because it requires so much. People have to really, be communicating with each other and become a team.
I'm super up for that. As a ex-WoW raider, I absolutely would dig that.
Here's the thing the problem that I have with a lot of. I haven't done the raid, so I can't comment on that. It might be fantastic. I have no clue. But everything else that's group-oriented besides PvP is... I'll give you an example of a dungeon. So you go into this 3-man dungeon area, and you fight through, a few guys, and the first boss is this sort of general-looking dude, and he has a wave of units that come with him. So you shoot him, you kill him, but... He's not hard, he's just a damage sponge. He just absorbs
That's
all
what
this
I heard
damage.
about most of the bosses, that they're giant damage sponges.
Yeah.
And so you fight this guy, and it's like, okay, you beat him, and then you go on to the next boss. So it's just like a WoW-style raid where there are 3 bosses, right? Or a dungeon. Right. And so you go to the next boss, and this boss is a dude who is this big walker guy, and he has a laser that will one-shot you, but it goes like when it's powering up so you know to get the hell out of the way. And then there's a million guys that spawn while he attacks you, right? So it's like, okay, so now I just have to avoid this laser and fight up the guys that spawn. And then, of course, he's a damage sponge with weak points like his legs and stuff. So you have to shoot off his armor. You beat that guy. Then the next boss is a giant floating eyeball thing, and you fight him, and he's a damage sponge, and only in the center of his eye can you shoot it, and he gets bonus points. Meanwhile, drop ships are flying in, dropping off more guys that spawn. So every fight in this dungeon is insert boss with random ability, and then wave after wave of guys coming after you.
Ads, just throw ads in. Right. Yeah.
And that's such an annoyingly lazy boss design, isn't it? It's like, it's going to be a damage sponge. Damage sponges in first-person shooters are a real problem. I think you can deal with it in MMOs where it's just hotkey-based, like, hey, you're racking up damage. But for shooters, I always feel like you need that degree of player feedback where my weapon needs to feel powerful, so I need to down a guy in a few shots. And if I can't down a guy, or at least show, like, visible damage that I'm doing, I feel useless. I feel powerless, and it really takes away from the FPS. Same complaint I had with Borderlands. It's why I played Borderlands solo, because if I play Borderlands 2 with 4 people, it just like quadruples the health.
Awful.
So like, great, I'm firing a fucking Nerf gun now. This powerful weapon I was blowing shit up with earlier apparently is now just useless. I hate that feeling. Absolutely despise it.
Waves are not bosses, like that's not good boss design. I don't.
But with all that said, I discovered special thanks to a friend who works at Blizzard. I watched him do a stream. I discovered this little baby.
Yes, that thing.
Oh, yeah, you were telling us about that.
Zim 4. It is mediocre at best. There's a lot of things it doesn't work with, but what it does do very, very well, unless there's some like crazy game mechanic, like for example in Kill Fall Shadow Zone or whatever the hell that one's called.
Kill Fall Shadow Zone.
Zone Shadowfall. It uses the PlayStation 4's like pull this out. It uses this pad up here. Mm-hmm. And so because the Zim doesn't recognize that, it bugs out on your screen. It goes like, but with Destiny, it works fantastic. And basically what it does is it makes your PlayStation think the controller is playing the game, but really you're playing with mouse and keyboard. And so it's fantastic. There's a lot of tweaks. It took me about 4 hours to get everything tweaked to the way I wanted it. But now I can play very, very well. And it feels like I'm playing a PC, a FPS game. Again, there's a lot of things about it that I don't like. And it's pretty expensive, but it did what it promised that it would do, and I can actually play Destiny with my friends. Can I point out that I bought this thing to play Destiny with my friends, a game that I now hate? Story of my life.
That was $130 well spent, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. So I'm hoping I will find other uses for it.
The music's great.
Oh, yes.
The Destiny
great
music
soundtrack.
is fantastic.
The music is really good. I'll give it that.
Destiny will also win awards for Best Font Choice in Video Game 2014, probably.
I've been playing Sid Meier's Civilization Beyond Earth. I can't talk about it till Friday, but I love it to bits. But I have comments. I will not say though. I played a ton of Defense Grid 2.
Yes.
Love that game. It might be my new favorite tower defense game. I love tower defense games.
Did you play the original?
I did, and I didn't like it that much. I didn't think it was as good as
what
this
do you think it's improved then? Because it's definitely made some improvements over the original, but it's still the same formula.
The big thing for me is I think the options for each level and the ways to do them. So there's like 12 different variations of every level, something insane like that, where you can play this tower defense map in like a million different ways, and you can play online with different people in like different versions. I like. When I played tower defense, for example, WoW and StarCraft, that's literally all I did. I never played multiplayer. I just played tower defense.
Winter Wars and Element TD, man, they devoured years of my life.
So good. And that's, I think, what this game has, it's taken all those things that I loved about those versions of StarCraft and Warcraft and those mods and just put it in this game. And there's so many different ways to play it that I like the fact that I won't for example, I really, really liked what the hell is that? Kingdom Rush? Kingdom Rush, yeah.
That was great on iPad. Yeah, that was awesome.
I played that Kingdom Rush and Kingdom Rush Frontiers. I have literally beaten everything there is to beat in those games. I can do nothing else. They came out with like an expansion thing that gave you 3 more maps. I'd beat them in a day. Like, I love those things. And so I like the idea that it's really hard to completely beat it because there's so much extra stuff in it. And I like that I can keep playing it. And so the new added different towers. I think there's a few more towers than there were the first time. Like, I just like the pathing, the line that shows you if I put a tower here, this is where they're going to go. If I put a tower here, they're going to go here. And so you can build like the death trap that you've always dreamed of. Right. I just love that shit. So I've been playing that, and good. Hyrule Warriors. I've been playing Hyrule Warriors.
Talk to me.
I
can't wait till
Hyrule
Friday
Warriors.
so I can have it.
See, I'm a big Dynasty Warriors fan. I love the Warriors franchise. I will be the first to admit that franchise, they do not innovate. They're like, F it. We're going to stick with what we've been doing since no way, man.
Muso
like
is Muso, and that's it.
See, that was the first. I think it comes to the fact that when I got my PlayStation 2, and I got it first day, I waited in line with all my other nerd friends, and it was the very first game I ever had for PlayStation 2 was Dynasty Warriors 2, and I was like, I love this game, and I've played every single one since. I've played all the Orochi Warriors and all that other shit, and I love it. And so when I saw Hyrule Warriors, I was like, oh my god, this is my joint. It is genuinely wonderful, and the music is fantastic. By the way, all Warriors games have great music. They take, and some dude put the entire soundtrack up on YouTube, but they take all the like Zelda classics and are like, let's make them the rockinest, most badass songs you've ever heard. And it's like, yes. All the characters are great. They include, a new character, Lana, who is just the Animu girl who shows up.
Yeah.
But they give her creative weapons like the Dago trees. Like she has a branch that summons little sproutlings and they just destroy stuff. And her special is the tree. Link
should have been Lubu.
Oh, well, that's I think Volga is supposed to be Lubu.
Why did you just put Lubu in there and have no explanation why Lubu was there? Just
exactly.
Like, do you pursue Lubu? What the fuck? Why? They should just put Lubu in everywhere. Put him in. Is he in Gundam? Is he in Gundam Warriors? Because if he's not. Yeah,
he's in Samurai Warriors. I know that. It makes no sense. Lubu just shows up in Japan like, what up?
Just put Lubu in there. Fist of the North. Yeah, I was gonna say like Ken's Rage. Lubu is there for no reason.
Do not pursue Lubu.
And I think the one part that I dislike is there's no voice acting, and that's what I always loved. Except for the later Dynasty Warriors games, I kind of am over the voice acting in later ones. But earlier ones, they gave no shit about pronunciation. Cao Cao was Cao Cao. His son was Cao P. It was amazing. All the characters, they just made up names basically, and it was great. Now they're trying very hard to pronunciate everything perfectly. It's like, stop it. It was better when you were like Jiangsu Province. It's like great. Now they're like Jiangsu Province. It's like, stop it. No, there's no voice acting in this one.
Ruining it by making it better, right?
Yeah. There's a voiceover during in between the battles that's like, this is what's happening in the world, and she reads it like she's talking to children. She's like, and then Link and Lana ventured forth, and it's like all over pronunciated. It's whatever. But the story is essentially the Dynasty Warriors attempt of combining all the Zelda verses into one and being like, all those stories, we're going to try and make them all one story now. And I was like, they're trying so hard. And they introduce, and there's Sia, who is basically she's a wizard because her boobs stay up somehow, even though they're like size triple F. It makes no sense. Like, they're just like up in her face. It's magic. It's magic.
This is the thing within the Dynasty Warriors universe that you were concerned about, like physics-wise. This is the thing that's unrealistic. All right.
No, it's not. She's a wizard. She's a wizard, and you can understand that because boob physics do not apply to her. And then, it's, I don't know what to tell you. It's Hyrule Warriors. You run around and you murder thousands of skeletons and moblins and all sorts of little guys, and just destroy stuff. And they created a story that fits this, and you can play as Midna, and you can play as Agatha, and you can play as oh my goodness,
Ganondorf.
You can play as Ganon, but I don't want to spoil that story part. You can play as a ton of just a ridiculous. I think there are like 9-10 characters in total that you can play as. You can play as what's her face, who was actually the sword, the master sword. You can play as Impa. Yeah. And she is hardcore. Like once you level her up enough, she's like, "What up? I become a sword." Blah 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 blah. It's great.
And I saw you can drop the moon from Majora's Mask on people.
Majora's Mask DLC, right?
There's a bunch of there's a few pre-order things. So if you go to GameStop, you get a bunch of costumes. Or if you go to another store, you get a bunch of costumes. But eventually, they're just going to put them all on the Nintendo shop to buy. And I guess there's a bunch of other things where characters you can't play as, like Volga and a few others, are going to be playable characters in the future. And
I know there's Ganon
Seal.
DLC for sure, and there's Majora's Mask DLC.
If you buy all of the DLC that they come out with, I think it's like $20 total. You get Dark Link. So there's a ton of stuff. It's Dynasty Warriors. So they're like, we have 12 million costumes for all our characters. Enjoy.
Which is my jam.
The best part about the game is the story mode is maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, maybe 15 maps long. It's not, the story mode is, I mean, each one takes like 30 minutes to beat, but you know, it's not too long. The adventure mode and the challenge modes are where the game, like the challenge mode is hardcore, super tough. You have to do things like beat X a number of guys in a certain number of time, but the guys are super powerful, so you have to come up with like creative ways to beat them or like destroy their little trigger thing. I would love to see a challenge mode where it was just the enemies don't stand around and stare at you, but they actually attack you at the same time. Oh no, the challenge mode is stuff like there's one map where if you get hit once, you're killed, and so you are you're fighting, but you hit them once and they die. So everyone has 1 HP. Yeah, and so it's this insane thing where you're running around actively trying to you're dodging out of the way of everything. Meanwhile, these dudes are just like blah, like flamethrowering you, and it's insane. And so
it's a Devil May Cry mode. Yeah, that's really cool.
Sometimes it's awful. There's one time I was doing great and I almost had it, and this guy like goes bink from behind and just kills me. I was like, what? So
no.
And then there's adventure mode, which they give you the old school original Zelda map, and each one of the little blocks where, you know, Link would go and like kill some guys in that mini zone is now a map in Hyrule Warriors. And so each one has missions and quests and heart pieces to find and special items you can get that you can use on the map to unlock new things. And that's where you get the majority of your weapons and your upgrades, and only certain characters can play certain ones and unlock certain things. And so that's the vast chunk of the game. And, you know, it's, again, if you dislike Dynasty Warriors, you will hate this game. There's no reason for you to play. I'm going to be real. Some of my friends,
I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah, there's literally no reason for you to play this because you will hate it. And if you like Dynasty Warriors, you'll love it. And if you're a Zelda fan, you know what? Give it a try. But I can't promise you'll like it. It is basically Dynasty Warriors with Legend of Zelda characters. Like, there's no difference. Like, some of the characters have Link's sword and shield move is basically Liu Bei's move set. You know, Zelda has a set that's like Sun Sheng, whatever her name is. Like, it's all these. It's, you know, there's no real new thing here. It's just you see things like, oh my goodness, he did that ability, and that's a thing I saw before. And these
Link has a scarf, man. He's got a scarf. I'm so down with that. Oh, is that it? Yeah. There you go. Why are you not wearing it right now?
Because it's hot.
It is.
Because it's warm.
Balls hot in LA.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun. If you like it, it's I'm sorry, Sheik. Whatever. Look, Sheik is Zelda. Be quiet. Spoilers. And it's a ton of fun. And the story doesn't necessarily make any sense, but it's a lot of fun to see them actively try to combine universes that aren't together in the real game. And it's just great. So I love it, but if you don't like Dynasty Warriors, you will hate it.
I can't imagine a universe where I didn't like Dynasty Warriors.
Right? It's
I don't have to imagine
stress.
TV, why do you not like Dynasty Warriors?
Because he likes being filled with anger and stress. He doesn't want that release. He doesn't like murdering countless people for his own entertainment. Yeah, he does that on
murdering
YouTube.
countless people is only good if it's any kind of fucking challenge. The AI in those games is brain dead to the extreme.
Turn up the hard, dog. There's heroic mode. Oh my god, I watched Gerard the Completionist do that, and I was like, that's not for me. That's not for me.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I haven't played a Dynasty Warriors game in quite some time. The port for the PC of the latest one is garbage, so I decided not to even bother with that. It's like, hey, it looks worse than the PlayStation version. How do you manage to fuck that up? Like, what happened there? But no,
it's another one of those games where my time is rewarded by giving me new characters and new abilities, and it's just like, It's that same sort of satisfaction when I play that game.
I think the biggest problem I've got with it is that I like games where I get to beat up, hundreds of dudes. That's fine, but I only like it if they actually have an in-depth combat system, and that game does not. It does not. It is a few moves, and that is it. And it tries to get around it by having multiple characters, but I don't dig that. I prefer... I've said it before, I think 99 Nights is a better game than any of the Dynasty Warriors games, because the characters in that game had hugely complex movesets, way, way better than Dynasty Warriors. And the perspective was better as well. It wasn't kind of a third person behind the character kind of perspective. You get this kind of isometric perspective, so you were slashing through hundreds of people, and it made more sense, and it was completely OTT. I much prefer that game.
Fortunately, Bayonetta 2 is coming out right around the exact same time.
I was just about to say that.
So if you want the difficulty and like combat patterns, there you go, man. That game is gonna kick your ass, and you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it very much. So I'm also looking forward to replaying the original Bayonetta, the one that comes with that. And apparently it runs a higher frame rate. Yeah, you get both. They remastered Bayonetta for it.
Yeah, at first it was to me like I played like half of that game. Now, shit, I might as well buy it.
I still think Bayonetta is the finest example of that genre that's ever been made. Like
character action. Absolutely, man. Platinum Games.
Yeah.
Totally.
Platinum are, I'd even say Bayonetta is better than Metal Gear Rising, and I love Metal Gear Rising.
Metal Gear Rising is so much fun.
Yes.
It is really fucking good.
Yeah, no, we, like, almost every week on our channel, we talk about these games because they're so satisfying to just finally learn how to S-rank something and just do a combo and, like, nothing else feels as good, And the
Platinum medals all the way, man. Yep. It's definitely the way to go. I love that particular genre, and I think the Platinum makes the best examples of it, honestly. I really do. So, well, we'll see. I've been told that it's supposed to run at 60 frames per second, but apparently it dips quite a bit on Wii U, which is a bit disappointing, but...
Oh, no!
We'll see. We'll see. I've soldiered through quite a bit to enjoy Bayonetta. The first copy of Bayonetta I got was the PS3 version. It was fucking terrible.
Oh, my God, no.
The port was so bad.
Like, the frame rate was like 2, 3. It was awful. The demo I played at PAX though had a rock solid 60 going while I was on it.
I think Digital Foundry did a frame rate test on the build that they got, and they showed some variation, which looked a little bit questionable. But we'll see. That was only on like one scene, so we'll see if that happens to be that.
Can we talk about just how wonderful the Nintendo costumes for Bayonetta 2 are?
Oh, the Metroid costume and the Peach costume and the Zelda costume.
The Zelda costume,
Fox costume,
Conehead.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's amazing.
As Fox McCloud, her guns, Scarborough Fair, are just R-wings, in her hands. It's fantastic.
Jesus.
Yeah, they were completely OTT with that one, which it looks awesome. So yeah, I'm looking forward to dusting off the Wii U again. And oh wow, some people were mic popping? Where? Some people are complaining that apparently something hurt their ears. I'm not actually sure what they're talking about there.
Nope.
Weird.
I don't have a pop guard, unfortunately.
Well, I didn't hear any popping at all.
Baby.
So I'm not sure where that came
Little
from.
baby.
I don't know. But I'd love to show you footage, but I'm not going to risk it. Last time we showed something from Nintendo, the copyright claimed our fucking podcast. So no, absolutely not.
True.
We don't show Nintendo games on this show. They're unreasonable. Simple as that. Yeah, apparently about 3 people claimed. I don't know. Yeah, I'm going to play the crap out of that, though. Looking forward to it. It's going to be good. Hopefully. I hope. Please don't fuck this up.
Yeah.
Platinum hasn't fucked up anything yet. So
no, they haven't.
Even Anarchy Reigns was still pretty good, and that's probably the worst thing they've made so far, so, yeah.
Yeah, Kamiya was just the other day, he was talking a bit about Scalebound, the new Xbox One thing they're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still
Dragons wear cool headphones.
Yeah, and we don't know exactly what genre it is even, but he's saying it's not going to be like character action. He seems to be implying it's not going to be high difficulty, high risk reward type of thing. But I still have faith in them, man. Like, Wonderful 101 was like one of my favorite games of last year. This year. I think whatever genre they put their heads to, they know how to deliver on it. I really have faith.
Wonderful 101. It was probably the best game to come out in that system that year, in my opinion. It was certainly a very, very good title. It was unfortunately decently overlooked, and it did a pretty bad job of explaining itself. There's a lot of very complex mechanics in that game, but yeah.
And it had no marketing whatsoever. Like, Nintendo sent it out to die. I remember I walked into a Future Shop to go pick it up, and they basically were like, so there was a shelf for it, but we decided we're not going to carry it because they're offering they're offered it digitally. And Future Shop didn't like that, so they said, no, we're not going to carry the physical because fuck Nintendo.
Future Shop are a bunch of pansies then, in my opinion. It's like, competition!
Yeah. Brick and mortar people getting
Well,
butthurt,
yeah, I mean,
it's
it's brick and mortars have been fucking up this thing for years. It's why Steam games are the same price more often than not, like when they come out. Like, well, why are these digital on console? You know, it's why are console games digitally the same cost as box releases? Because if they didn't, GameStop would fucking throw their toys out of the pram.
Yeah.
What a bunch of pansies.
Now let them die the slow death. It's going to take a long time.
Let those physical shops die. Absolutely. Right. They will die. You know, eventually everything will be digital. There's no doubt about that. So, you know, they're playing for borrowed time here. Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we can talk about news. Of which there is much. You're watching the Co-optional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Co-optional Podcast. Final hour or so. And I think we're going to talk about news. That's the plan, isn't it? Yep.
Yay.
Yeah.
So we have quite a bit of it. What do we want to start with? Shall we start with the breaking news, I suppose?
I mean, we've already talked a lot about, like, Kickstarter stuff, so we could go into Kickstarter-y stuff.
We could.
Or we could do breaking news. Look, whatever.
All the breaking news is things getting canceled. Everything is canceled. Yeah. Video games are over.
Well, I mean, gamers are dead, so I've been told, so it makes sense for video games to now be over, so... But... All right, let's talk about cancellation. So the biggest news of the day probably is that Blizzard has officially confirmed that they have cancelled their supposed next-gen MMO Titan, which has been in development for 7 years.
Pour one out, man. Pour one out.
Yep. Last year... Hang on. I'm not done talking about the news yet, Jesse, and then you can get into it. Last year, they said they were going to go back to the drawing board on it, so they were kind of throwing a lot of stuff out of the window. And apparently now they've just decided we can't do it. We're not going to be able to make this happen. And this was supposed to be their next generation of MMO. So I don't know what on earth is going on with that.
Like, that was probably going to be their financial bank. Like, that's what they're banking on, I'm sure, for at least a good decade or two. You know, like, what do you do now, man?
I feel like there's two things, and I'm glad I jumped in front of it early because I was totally right and it was great. First, the fact that when this news broke, every news outlet was gonna be like, "Is this the end of MMORPGs?" It's like, no, it's not. Shut up.
No,
but
I would assume not.
All these websites, you must posit it, of course. Like, that's gonna get traffic, and people will be like, "You're wrong." Whatever. So first off, that's stupid.
It's not the content to get people to go back to comment sections, right?
Yeah, it's not the end. It's dumb. Don't say that. Secondly, I think what it says about Blizzard, I read a really great tweet that I wish I could give it credit to someone, but I don't remember who said it. Basically, it doesn't necessarily say that Blizzard, like, there's something bad about Blizzard. It's that they're so strong financially and securely, like, security-wise, that they are just like, it's okay that we screwed this one up and we spent 7 years trying to develop. I feel like we'll be okay. Like, we have so much money and time and people that, you know what? This one was going to suck and we don't want to release a shitty game, so let's move on. And good on them. I hope whatever they make next is great and they don't stop with, like, they're on, like, a casual game kick at the moment. Like, we have Hearthstone, and then Heroes is a very casual MOBA. Not MOBA, whatever the hell they call it. And I feel like that's...
Hero brawler. It's a hero brawler.
Like, that's where they're at right now.
So you made that shit term up.
What I would like, and I just... God, if they would do this, it would make me so happy. Make a new Warcraft RTS that takes place after the WoW, like, just so you can move the WoW universe forward wherever you want without having to have people.
Dead. They've killed everybody. They can't have any antagonists anymore.
But I don't like the way the world they set up. There are characters in it. Like, what kind of raid is gonna go against Sargeras, which is basically like WoW Satan? Like, that'd be stupid as shit if, like, level 100s killed the devil. Like, that's dumb. And I feel like there's some things that could be best told in an RTS style story. And I feel like that'd be great if they could make a Warcraft 4. That's all I'm saying. It would be nice, but I don't think they'll do it. But whatever.
They might.
Man, if I could just read the headline that's like, we have moved the entire team of Titan onto StarCraft Ghost. We are bringing it back. I would just lose my shit and do cartwheels forever. It would be the greatest.
My absolute favorite. If you go to BlizzCon, you'll see it. But if you ever get a chance to go to the Blizzard headquarters, when you first walk in is Nova, and Nova's like staring down at you, and that statue they built, it must be 7-8 years old. And she is just falling apart. Like, her hair is just. It looks
sad.
It looks like the scary mannequin that will attack you in horror movies. Like her eyes are sort of glazed over, dead. Her skin looks like it's sort of melting off from the heat.
God.
And her hair is like. It's hilarious. And when we were there, Lore was saying that I guess because the statue's been around for so long. That she's slowly like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Did I say pizza? Pisa.
Uh-huh.
She's slowly.
You are as American as it gets, Jesse. The Leaning Tower of Pizza.
She's slowly leaning forward, and so every few years they have to drill into the back of her heels because she's perpetually leaning forward. So now she like stands looking down at you. Oh yeah, poor Nova. Nova's
because we don't believe.
Days.
That's what happens when we stop believing in Nova. Man. Like. She just slowly gets dilapidated and becomes hollowed out like a Dark Souls boss. Like fucking.
What I think is interesting on the topic of Titan is like everybody's connecting it or like trying to connect it to Destiny. Was there a lot of speculation that Titan was going to be an MMO FPS?
No one had any clue what it was going to be ever.
There was actually a decent amount of speculation that would be an MMO FPS, but it wasn't confirmed in any way.
Right.
I don't agree with like tying it into Destiny doesn't make a lot of sense. Blizzard has always been their own thing within Activision Blizzard. Like the idea that there would be some collaboration between those two studios seems outlandish to me.
The reason, and I remember reading this because I remember bringing it up in this podcast a while ago. The reason there was such a connection is that people made assumptions based off of when Halo let people go, and Blizzard snatched up a bunch of
those people.
And Halo,
I see.
Yeah. Halo at one time had I guess an MMO thing they were trying to put together, and it was called Project Titan. And so everyone assumed that that it was all connected. And so there was a lot of assumption there. At one point in time, people thought Titan meant it was going to be like an old, like a Roman god kind of thing. At one time, people thought Titan meant like it was going to be comic book superhero thing. No one ever knows. I mean, I would love for them to say what it was going to be, but they'll probably use that in another story or something. So
yeah,
there's an article up on Polygon now that's like, here's everything we know about Titan, and I'm like, what? Which is nothing.
Nothing.
No one knows
absolutely
anything.
Nothing. Yeah.
I knew somebody who was married to a dev on Titan, and they were like, yeah, I don't know anything about what he does at work. Like, there's super secrecy for everyone involved.
That wouldn't surprise me. It actually reminds me of a trip that I took to SOE, and where we got to see the studio that was building EverQuest Next. There were about 10 people allowed into it. None of the other staff knew what was behind the door. And the studio, like, it wasn't even built yet. There was fucking wood everywhere, and like it was only half done. So they, within their own studio building, they were able to keep all of that shit secret from the rest of the staff. So I have no doubt that Blizzard has a very similar thing going on.
Yeah.
But all we knew was it was going to be an MMO, and apparently now it's not. And it seems like Blizzard at the moment, after seeing the success of Hearthstone, is trying to replicate that with Heroes of the Storm. And I believe it was Metzen actually said in this interview, maybe we can be what we want to be and inspire groups around the company to experiment, get creative, and think outside of the box. Maybe they don't have to be colossal summer blockbuster type products. Which, with the success of Hearthstone, I'd say is very true. But I still want to see original IP rather than them turning into Nintendo with their stable of characters. It's like Blizzard Golf, Blizzard Kart Racing.
Right.
Blizzard, like, please don't be that. Please.
I must interject. I you know that I and a lot of us, I know all you guys, Hearthstone, people love Hearthstone. Love it. But I think it's very interesting to see the stats that were released, that basically the vast majority of people playing Hearthstone are still in that like level 20 whatever to
25 to 15.
Yeah.
So basically, the vast majority of people are super duper casual with it. And if they're like me, I play till I'm 20 and I stop.
Because you just want the card back.
I just want the card back and I'm done. And I feel like that's...
If they put another card back in, then people would start to like, oh, you got to get to 10 to get the other card back. Then people are like, oh shit,
super
here you go.
special card back.
Yeah. Well, they have one for being like first. They have one for going to the fireside gatherings and stuff. Yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I get something, some free thing, and I hit my cap, and so okay, I feel like it's almost too casual. Like I don't know that they can keep people interested with what they're doing. All I'm saying
they're claiming what 20 million. Was it 20 million registered accounts for that game? I think they said. Am I completely off with that?
But oh god, I hate when they do stuff like that.
I'm not completely off with it. Apparently, it's been played by over 20 million people so far.
That's wow. I think that is strangely enough. One of the things that I hate about all the like MMORPG competitors of WoW is when they say stuff like it's been played by over 12 million people. It's like, well, 10 million of those logged in once and was like, well, this is shit and logged out. So, and I hate that kind of
players.
Stuff.
Active players is the word that gets thrown around.
And that's what Blizzard is not doing with this. And that's why I'm always like, oh no, don't be that. Because then it immediately makes me think like, sorry, so out of those 20 million people who turned it on, how many people actually are still playing it actively? And that's, I think, a big question.
Hard
because
to say. I'm cooling off on it, honestly. Like, I've played so much of it, I just don't really want to play a lot
with you.
Anymore.
Yeah.
And I might just stop playing until they release their first big expansion. Even with the Nax cards, it's still like, well, yeah, I can do a few other interesting things with my decks, but I'm not the kind of guy that plays the meta, and I'm not really interested in playing competitively, so for me, it is starting to burn out.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for Heroes because that actually, because it changes so quickly and it's new and fresh. I love the concept, so I'm on board for that. But
it's hard to get bored of Dota style games.
Yeah, and I guess because it's a card game with nothing, like after a while, there's nothing new in it. And
card games are relying on the cards, honestly. They allow you to build more stuff. They allow you to be more creative, and they make the game more complex by the addition of new cards. And adding 30 in, it's cool, but that was 30 in a year, and we don't know when the expansion's coming out. So
I just desperately, as a massive Blizzard fanboy, I desperately don't want them to get complacent with what they have, because when you think about it, Diablo was pretty much a flop. Not financially. Financially, they made a shit ton of money.
I was going to say, it was the best-selling PC game that year, so I wouldn't say it was a flop.
Flop is a strong word, Jesse.
Yeah.
But,
it's doing well on console as well.
But critically, just everyone was like, oh god, I hated that game. Like, there's not many people who are like, they spent a ton of money, so they're there's a lot of goodwill happening. So you have, like, StarCraft. Again, that whole, like, the competitive StarCraft scene is strong
stagnant.
But cooling off.
Yeah. Stagnant.
Warcraft is, it's still super strong but cooling off, right? You have the Hearthstone, which came out of the gate huge and is now cooling off. So there are all these things where it's like, okay, they might need that next blockbuster. They say we don't have to make the next blockbuster, but I feel like as a company, they might need to do that. And it might not, I don't know, it might not be one of the franchises they have. Yeah. Oh, I don't think it'll be Heroes at all, because Heroes is entering, like, Heroes is basically every other MMORPG that entered into the WoW world. Heroes is doing that into the MOBA. So it's coming in late and saying, we're offering you something different.
But they actually are, though, instead of just pretending to. You got to admit, it feels quite different to standard Dota-style games.
I mean, I enjoy the shit out of it. I think it's way more fun than a lot of those other, Dota MOBAs, but I am one of those people who doesn't like LOL, and a trillion other people do. So like clearly LOL, I'm in the minority on this issue, and so my opinion isn't worth shit when it comes down to it. And so, I just want more and better Blizzard games. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I gotta wonder if it was World of StarCraft that was being put to bed there. You know,
that would have been great.
I gotta wonder. You know, what are the odds? It's when you say sequel MMO to World of Warcraft, like how do you one that up? You know,
World of StarCraft, that would have been cool.
Would have been great, right?
Yeah.
3 factions would have been badass for like PvP and stuff, dude.
Yeah,
I would have.
I want to be a level
man.
60 Zergling.
No, I'm sad.
yes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want to be. I want to be in Zerg.
or just an Archon, like just playing as an Archon sliding around, man. Goddamn.
But once you
great.
like play an Archon for 2 hours, you disappear and your character gets deleted. I think we've discovered why that might have been a much more difficult thing to make work.
You gotta find another player. Yeah, you and another player
role
team
is
up,
a big
become an
one.
Archon. You're amazing,
Gonna
and
go
then
well
your
for me.
characters are gone.
Yeah, I don't think Heroes of the Storm will be anywhere near as big as Hearthstone. I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that it doesn't have anywhere near the viewership popularity, and I don't think it will get a lot of the viewership popularity either. So Hearthstone was, I think, buoyed on top of a really successful and continually successful Twitch presence. Like, the amount of people that stream that game and get really good views, let's look at it right now. You will see Hearthstone is the second-ranked game on Twitch, and that's where it is most of the time. 44,000 viewers. Trump on his own has more views than this stream does, and we're one of the highest-rated streams on Twitch right now. So
I feel
Hi,
like
everybody.
the Hearthstone is very, very, very fun to watch because the random chants and things like that, and it's really entertaining.
yeah, it is.
To play, though, is a different story. And I feel like a lot of people are having that where to play it, they're like, okay, yeah, I don't like the chants. But watching it, you're like, this is fantastic. Like, these two guys
feel the
going at it.
opposite.
Really? You
Yeah.
don't like watching it? You just like playing it?
Yeah, and a lot of people always say
What a weird
the
idea for a video game, Jesse.
a lot of people always say the opposite of StarCraft too. That they don't like watching it, but they like playing it. And I'm like, oh, I'm the opposite. I really am not good at that game. I don't feel successful ever when playing StarCraft. But I love watching StarCraft games.
I'm with you on that. I only ever played, like I said, tower defense games in StarCraft and Warcraft like online. But watching the skill of those players is like, holy shit.
Yeah, give me a camera on the keyboard, and I'm just like,
It's just like, yeah,
it's crazy.
yeah, it's really impressive. So, I don't know. I think I hope Heroes does well, and I hope. I assume it will because the fan base
Good.
is huge already for Blizzard in general. So I imagine people will jump on it. I don't know if they'll pull people from other games, though. That's the key to its success. Is how many they're going to pull. Because, again, effing League, man, it has that same thing WoW has, where people are so invested in time and energy, and they spent money on it now. And it's one of those things where it's like, if I leave, I lose. Like, that's one of the things a lot of people playing WoW have. They're like, if I leave, 10 years of my life are gone. Like,
You're halfway
a lot
into the
of-
marriage, and you're just like, I can't leave now. Yeah,
yeah,
It's not
And
even
that's
out of love.
A problem a
but-
lot of people have. A lot of people,
Obligation.
eventually, when you cut the cord, you're like, oh, thank God I did that. But for the most part, most people can't.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Steam. Steam made a huge update.
yeah.
They're calling it the Discoverability Update. And it has completely changed the way that the front page works. It has also changed things to blue. So if you don't like blue, well, you're gonna hate Steam now because they're using an awful lot of blue.
Look, they changed their icon first.
They did,
Now
yeah.
they
It was a
changed that
harbinger
for
of things to
everything's
come, and now the blue is
blue.
here. It is very much here. They have given you something called the Discovery Queue, which is it's kind of, I suppose, like how Pandora works, the music player.
It's apparently a combination of games that are being played the most, games that are new, and then games that are part of an algorithm that are chosen for you. So it's not entirely based on the algorithm. It's like a mesh.
Mish of the two, yeah.
Mishmash, yeah.
But of course, Steam and Valve are being very obtuse at telling you about that stuff because they don't want people to be able to game the system and things like that, I suppose. They're very much like Google in that respect. You might ask us, like, how does YouTube work? No one on this call can tell you. Nobody.
Right, yeah. And if they'll never tell us, because then people would figure out how to game it.
Exactly. They just changed shit randomly for no reason. So they did that, and they made some big changes to the ability to filter the front page, which, in my opinion, is the best part of this.
Yes.
Finally, you can get rid of early access from the front page. And
you mean the unfinished games program? Yeah.
Indeed.
Who wants to see that shit?
Yeah, get that the fuck out. Not only can you get rid of that from you can get rid of it from the kind of scrolling recommendations and all sorts of things like that.
Yeah, I also really like that any game that you already own won't show up anymore. And if you go to the game, there's an option to be like, I'm not interested in this, and then it won't show up anymore for you.
Yeah,
like,
pretty great.
Yeah,
it's so much nicer to just be like, this is not my shit, guys. This is not what I want.
Yeah, I mean, it took them so long to even put a toggle on for DLC because people were complaining for months and months about someone releases 10 parts of DLC and it floods the whole front page with DLC. It's like, what is this shit? But now they've changed the new releases to default to popular new releases, which is it's a way of getting those shitty shovelware games that people like Strategy First shove on the front page every now and again to not show up for most people. Simultaneously,
it also makes it so that there are some small indie games that won't ever get the light of day because they will never show up on the front page for you, which sucks.
Yes. That's the baby out with the bathwater kind of approach that they took there. Like, Valve flat out refuses to tell Strategy First no. Like, they are the parent that lets their shitty kid run around and steal things from the shop. They're just kind of ignoring that they're there. They're just trying their best to find the frozen peas. The kid's over there pissing in the milk. You know, that's what they're doing. And even then, now they've still said, no, we're not responsible for this. Like, our algorithm is, and you curators are now responsible for this.
Exactly. Now it's your
fault.
It's our fault now.
Yep. So
you didn't pump that indie game high enough.
Yep. Yeah. The other addition is the curator system, which allows anyone who has a Steam group, which you can form yourself, can be a curator. So anybody can be one. You create a Steam group, and then you have a curators tab. You add 10 games to that, and then it will populate this list, and then you can add games to the list with a very short blurb. It's 152 characters, not very long at all, and a link to a review, a podcast, or a video, although it's going to say read the review anyway, regardless of what it is, which is really awkward. So that's something they need to fix. But there is a top list of Steam curators, and you can follow them.
What number are you, Totalbiscuit?
I haven't recently checked, actually. Maybe I should just go and check what number I am. I appear to be number 1. Interesting. Okay.
Wow, I'm so shocked.
Not bad. Yeah, that's
pretty
a big,
awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, that's so they have people like PC Gamer. Jim Sterling's got a collection of his own games there. Rock Paper Shotgun has got one. Nerd Cubed just made his Nerd Cubed box set, which is. I actually like his in particular because it's got some really amusing little blurbs for them. Northern Lion did it as well. And Bro Team has some up there, and I don't know, is there any intention to do a Zaibatsu Steam list, do you think?
I think we're gonna have to.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have to. Absolutely. Just it's gonna be like all platinum games and a bunch of weird shit. So
you won't be able to get too many platinum games on Steam, unfortunately. It'll be Metal Gear Rising and nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And some fighting games. We do the fighting games too.
Yeah, totally, yeah. At least PC's finally getting those, you know.
Yes. It's nice.
So that's nice, yeah.
Don't worry, Internet. Jesse and I are working on our lists.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that you're like doing an anime bullshit list, Dodger?
Yeah, it's called Dodger's Anime Bullshit.
Fantastic.
It doesn't have anything on it yet, so it's not live, but that's... Yeah. I got the group, so...
So what will happen if you follow these is they have a page on their own, which is not ultimately that useful. It's just like a page of recommended stuff, but those recommendations are going to start popping up on your front page. It's got to tell you who gave them, and... This is a big deal for me because it is infuriating thousands of people on the internet, which is making me celebrate. The more popular recommended curators, their message starts popping up on the main page of the game. So even if you're not following them. So let's just say there's a game called Dota 2, and we scroll down and we suddenly see...
Oh no.
Right here, the premier multiplayer misery simulator, Totalbiscuit. There it is. Which, that's amusing. And I know some people, I was reading some forums last night about it, and some people were like, I don't want to hear what Totalbiscuit has to say. Like,
well, now it's like looking at the back of the box.
Like, yeah, that's exactly it. It's a box quote.
Yeah,
you've got to read, like, I don't want to read what some other random bullshit website has to say about a game, but tough shit, because that's how box quotes work, and they're all over the place. I don't know what determines that algorithm. I mean, obviously popularity probably has a lot to do with it, but I certainly saw somewhere I'd done one, but it was someone else's, which obviously I'm totally fine with. Yeah, it's an interesting system, and it raises a lot of intriguing questions, but of course it can also be used in a cool way. Like, as you were saying, Dodger, you're making a list of anime bullshit games, which means that if you disclose exactly what that is, like, here's my list of anime bullshit games, like, I want to follow you because you have curated a collection, of anime bullshit games. Whereas my list is just good games on Steam. Yeah, it's super generic, and it's stuff that I've recommended. I went through 2 years of my back catalog last night, and I put in every game from WTF is that I can, like, heartily still recommend to this day, right? So that's what I did, and I went through, like, hundreds of videos to do that. But the smaller lists are maybe where the really useful stuff comes from, because that's when you get really specific little collections, you know? I want to know about good visual novels on Steam. I can subscribe to a curator that does nothing but that. You can also make multiple lists yourself as long as you have multiple Steam groups. You can do one list per Steam group. So I think it may have been NeoGAF that did it. I think NeoGAF has multiple lists already. So
yeah, and that's why I really like the use of the term curator, because it's the implication of, like, this is a museum of a particular kind of thing you're showing off, and, you know, everyone has its particular theme. This person is good at a niche that, you know, other people are not going to deliver for you, so you're absolutely following them. It's a really good term.
Yeah. There'll definitely be some lists that are very much, these are just good games. There's a guy that's trying to do good PC ports, but the weird thing about the system is that it's about recommendations, and yet, in order to kind of truly curate, you've also got to put the bad ones in there and say why they're bad, which is really weird, because, like, here's a recommendation. Someone was complaining last night that some random group had just, like, spammed a bunch of, I don't like this game on every game on Steam, and it was popping up for people.
Oh, no.
So it's like, right, well, how does the curation work when you want to tell people that there's something wrong with it? Because I considered, like, do I put Fable Anniversary in there and tell people about some of the problems it has? Or does the fact that it's not on my list, is that damning? Should it be damning? It probably shouldn't be, really. It's just a case of, these games are really good. That's not saying that everything else is shit, though. You know?
Yeah.
Not everything below this line is terrible. These are just the games that I can reliably say are good.
It might need its own list because, you know, the Academy Awards are separate from the Razzies.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
So you might need your own secondary list of avoid these things.
Yeah. Totalbiscuit's list of bollocks PC ports, you know. It's like, or Totalbiscuit's list of shit that runs at 30 FPS, you know, that's... I mean, that's what they were kind of trying to do with the tags, weren't they? But, like, Steam got really... I don't know, they got really weird about tags they didn't want. Like, they allowed Walking Simulator to stay and then banned mobile port, which I think was a bit weird.
Yeah, it was super weird.
Yeah, it's a bit strange. All right, so I mean, in general, what do you think about curation, Jesse? Like, you haven't said a lot about it. Do you intend to do a curation list? I mean, what do you reckon to the system so far?
I don't. I mean, my biggest worry is that most of the people doing it are, like, so far, are people in the industry and not necessarily fans. I mean, they're fans, but their job is in the industry. And I feel like all this does is leave those people open to constant questions about what their intentions are for promoting. Because before it was like, I played a video, I did a review, and now this is, well, why did you recommend that? And for example, if your name is showing up on it, now you're even more connected to the game. And so all that, like, it seems like a lot of hassle for something that basically you did because I wanted to do it. It was fun. I like being able to recommend, like, you have no secret intention, but immediately it comes off as, okay, so TB wants me to play, you know, X game. Like, what did they pay him to say that? That kind of stuff. And that's just sounds like a pain in the ass.
Yeah, so
TB and I were
Sorry, Dodge, go ahead.
All I was going to say was earlier, TB and I were talking about that, like the fact that a full sentence of "this is a paid promotion brought to you by blah 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 blah" literally uses all of the characters that you have for your like mini review in the curation system. So like whether or not we should have just a general hashtag or like an acronym that we use at the very beginning of what you're saying, like something that everybody would agree on. But or just don't
not list them at all.
Yeah, I've had to. I've already like had this issue. I actually like took 2 interviews this morning about this very thing and about the curation because some people wanted to talk about it. And I also put out a twit longer after a couple of people, and there was a Gama Sutra article that pointed this out, and they were right to do it, that PlanetSide 2 was on my recommended list, but I've taken sponsorship dollars from PlanetSide 2. So what do I really do there? Well, and my conclusion on it was, well, really, I've got to remove PlanetSide 2 because, one, I don't really have like a full-on critique video to point to in the first place for that game because I never did one. That game, like, I covered in bits and pieces, kind of like, well, it was an MMO. Remember how I used to cover WoW? I never did like here's my opinion on the WoW expansion. It was like, here's 200 videos about WoW, you know? So you can only link to one on the Steam curation store. So which one do I go for? So I thought, right, okay, well, actually, yeah, it's not appropriate for that to be on there. And there's the appearance of impropriety. But the other example was Guns of Icarus. Now, I've left that on there. A bit like, well, you took sponsorship dollars to do the Battle Royale. Yeah, but that was 7 months after my first assessment of the game, you know? And it's a similar thing with Smite as well. I've been playing Smite since the alpha, and I did WTF is Smite and all that stuff like 2 years ago. So I don't feel bad being paid to beat up on Jesse in Smite or whatever. So that's fine.
After you've already established your opinion.
Yeah, my opinion is already established, yeah? So the problem is when it's the other way around. If you are paid prior to your opinion being established. I even actually left out Chivalry, which I was paid to play with you guys, but I'd done my assessment of it earlier, but it was only about a month before. So even though I know for a fact that there wasn't even the offer of anything on the table when I made that video, I know this. But my viewers don't know this, and I can't prove a negative.
And I think that's, right now, everything is relatively okay, because your opinions have existed, and everything is pretty well established. Like, oh, I know TB likes this game, da-da-da. The problem is in the future, when if you review a game, and then you put it, like, on your curated list, and, you know, and, like, you really, really enjoy it, stuff like that, that's when it becomes an issue of, like, did he really enjoy it? Was he paid? Like, it just seems like a giant... Like, you could really love the game and really support the developers, and they could be great people, but the fact that it then leaves you open to these attacks just pisses me off.
Here's the thing. We were open to it anyway, though. Like, this has been going on for years. Every time we play a game on YouTube, there's always going to be that guy that says, no, will you pay for this?
Yeah.
This happens all the time.
But with this case... it takes us to that next level where before it was TB really recommends you play X game in his video, right? But now it's TB recommended in the video. Then I go to the page on Steam, and there you are right saying there, get it. And that's when people will start losing it.
It's like I said, you know, just a bit before, err on the side of integrity if you have to make the call on it, you know? I think the one example with us was we played Killer Instinct for Xbox One because we just really like Killer Instinct and we think it's a really good fighting game. And a lot of people were like, oh yeah, that KI money in your pockets, how's that Microsoft check? Oh yeah. And we were plagued by that for a month, and it's the biggest like shitbag opinion on it. And that happens without a curation system regardless.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Awesome Notes is a good example. Like, some people thought that I took like sponsorship dollars for Awesome Notes because I have a character in the game. I was never paid for that. Like,
neither was I.
I've never taken... I'm just trying to think, was I? No. I have never taken any money whatsoever for doing voice acting in a game. If I do voice acting, I do it gratis because I like the game, yeah? So, I think the 4 games... Oh, no, I've done 5 games. So, Savage 2, Awesome Notes, that fucking terrible narrator voice that I did for Space Pirates and Zombies.
Oh, man, that's right.
So bad. There was a skin for Heroes of New Earth, and there was one other thing. Tribes. Voice pack for Tribes. 0 money exchanged hands. in that respect at all, yeah? And it would have been disclosed if it was. So Awesome Notes is on my list, and I don't mind that, but there's always going to be that doubt. It's like, oh, you're in, you did voice acting in the game, that means, there's bias there, and I mean, hell, if anyone knows my opinion of what Hi-Rez did to Tribes Ascend, then they'll know for a fact there's no fucking bias there. I hate them for doing that. Absolutely hate them for it. But it's brought scrutiny up to a new level, certainly. No doubt about that. And there are people combing through my recommendation list right now with a fine-tooth comb trying to find something. It's like, is there any evidence of impropriety here?
Right.
And ultimately, my approach was to just go full on and just say, look, here is exactly what happened. And I'm going to be 100% transparent with you guys 100% of the time. Because that's how I run my business. And I'm not going to shout at you for bringing this issue up. I'm not going to censor you, and I'm not going to say, oh, you shouldn't harass me with this stuff. It's a valid criticism. So, yeah, I'll absolutely answer it to the best of my ability. But but it's now something I'm very aware of in the future, and I will be very, very careful with the appearance of impropriety. I'm just glad that a lot of the stuff I did brand deals on is not on Steam. I'm really just glad about that. So I don't even have to worry about that kind of stuff. But, even Chivalry, which I know for a fact that, my opinion came out way before, it's not far enough away, I looked at the dates and I'm like, shit, that was a month apart. That's going to look bad. So I didn't put it on the list,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want people to be misled, even if I know it's not true, because I can't prove it.
But things like PC Gamer, right? Things like that, or because I mean, I think here's the inherent problem that I have with it. Like, for example, Northern Lion, right? Or if basically any Let's Play person, if they made a thing, right? At least they can say, look, I don't review stuff. I just play games. This is the games that I like. Tough shit. If you think I'm selling out, that's your own damn problem. But like PC Gamer or Jim or you, right? You guys are the top three. And you review things, and and you're in Jim's case is very much like, if it sucks, and we will let you know that it's awful. And I feel like that leaves you completely open to super scrutiny, because everyone's just like out. So I definitely feel like there's a weird sort of.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily I don't necessarily like the curation system, but whatever. That's just me.
There's one example that I pointed out last night with a Vine, because that's how I get important topics across.
The Kotaku one?
The Kotaku one. So I looked at Kotaku's list, and Kotaku has a game on their recommended list that's not out for another 6 months. It's called Sunset. And I don't know if it's still on the list. Maybe they removed it. Is it still here? I'm just going through their list. They have like 43 games on it. I think they took it off. Yeah, they've taken it away. Which, yeah. Well, I mean, that's fine. Like, if they believe there's an appearance of impropriety and they act to fix that, then that's good, right? But it's not that it was impropriety. It's like, what should the responsibility of a big publication be when it comes to recommending things that aren't out yet? Because we've criticized IGN before for hyping up games that aren't out, right? So is Kotaku allowed to put a game that's not out yet on its recommended list? Like,
right.
what are the boundaries there? Like, can I recommend something that I just kind of tickles my fancy? Or if I'm a big publication, do I really have to be very careful and say, I know, this is something that I have played and I have assessed and I'm confident in my opinion of it? Because you can't be confident in your opinion of Sunset, I'm afraid. It's not out till March 2015. The game has plenty of opportunity to go sideways, even if you've played a preview build.
With a handheld walkthrough with the dev sitting next to you, showing you exactly how perfect experiences go. No, you don't put a game that's not out yet on your list. I think that's a hard line that absolutely all of these sites should take. If you're going to put out something, let it be a game that's out, that you've completed, and can recommend fully, truthfully, and honestly, not this, hey, get hyped for something that might be cool, and also we might be friends with these people, but, don't do that, man.
Yeah, I mean, well, I've said it so many times before, haven't I? That's like, it's not the job of these publications to hype games. That's PR's job. Let the marketing budget do that. You're supposed to be protecting the consumer, and you can't do that if you screw up this way.
Fucking Kotaku, man. Whatever. Anyway.
Well, it's interesting that like seeing the PC Gamer curated list. I've gone through. I can agree with about 99% of the games they put on here. I think they're very good games.
Yeah,
There's
totally.
a few of them like really, but whatever. It's all about taste, right? But inherently the problem is if you go to the PC Gamer website, you're there to figure out what, PC Gamer reviewers think of X, and you base your decision on that. And here it's PC Gamer has compiled a list of games that you should, like, here's the prices, and you should buy these, and they're on the place where you buy them. So it's like this weird just snowball effect of what is, especially in the current climate of, like, everyone suspects everyone of selling out to everyone. It feels real like... I'm gonna stay away for a little bit.
People would just talk, then this wouldn't happen. This is why people are pissed off, because you keep telling them they're idiots and refusing to treat them like adults. God damn it, people.
Yep. See, and the thing is, Jesse, like with a system like this, there's always going to be some guy in marketing or some group of people that are just like, how can we abuse this to make bucks? There's always going to be those people trying to twist that. But the system itself, I think, is not inherently flawed. It's just we have to assume the worst of people and that it's going to go this way. But there's always, of course, the benefits we were describing earlier of the small unknown game that you get to recommend to people that they would have never heard about otherwise. And I think like when you have any sort of system like this, you're always going to have to just assume there's going to be people trying to ruin it, but it doesn't inherently mean the system is flawed.
Exactly. Yeah. Just because somebody smuggles illegal drugs on the road doesn't mean we need to shut all the roads. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Shut every road.
Shut the road.
Yeah,
Shut
fantastic
the road.
idea. But I think it's also just going to come down, again, to individual trust, and this is, I think, a representation of the way that media is starting to work now. You find people that you trust online, and then you base your recommendations off the information they give.
There you go. Yep.
I mean, the only thing I think of is if I made a list, it would literally be like, these are story games I enjoy. I can't promise the game mechanic is good. I can't promise that this is this, but they have a great story. And
but that's a good list. That's a good list, though, because that's a very specific kind of list. What you're aiming towards are people that focus more on the story than the game mechanics, and there are plenty of people like that.
I just got done saying how I hated lists, TB, and now you're gonna make me make one.
Yeah, pretty much.
So just do what I'm doing. Make a list.
I should make an anime list. I should make a Jesse's anime bullshit list.
Jesse's anime bullshit. I'll make Dodger's anime bullshit, and then we'll compare and contrast.
I'm just gonna copy your list and see if I can get ahead of you on the.
Can I make a list that says examples of when Chinese room ruined the industry? Oh dear.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, it's a very basic system right now. We have so little control. People ask me like, "Oh, do you know how many people like bought a game based?" Nope, we got nothing. Like, if you curate, you have no analytical information at all. And I spoke to a couple of indie devs earlier today, and they told me some stats, and they're like, yeah, the stats came from various sources. Like, that's all that Steam tells you. You got 60,000 impressions from various sources. This is useless.
What does that mean? Yeah.
That's completely useless. So it seems like the system needs to continue to grow for where it is right now.
If I didn't think I get yelled at by the internet, chat is right on. I totally should make like a big anime boobs list. Damn, chat, and I can't do that. Tumblr is waiting, just like
the unseen Tumblr is the deadliest.
Yeah, no. I guess curation just kind of reminds me of there was a site Backloggery that basically was just people making lists of stuff they need to go back through and one by one check them off. And an unintentional benefit of people making these lists was other people would be like, oh, yeah, that's a really good list of games. This guy has good taste. And they would follow it for that. It never quite blew up like Steam, but yeah, it totally is that being brought back.
This will definitely blow up now. It's built into Steam. It's really easy for anyone to make a list. But of course, to actually get a lot of people following it, it doesn't even matter if a lot of people follow it. There's loads of these really cool little lists. I wonder if the algorithm on the front page will help you find those people. Because if I'm not logged in, I go to the front page, it says recommended Steam curators to follow. It's basically, I think, just the top 6. So I wonder if that list of curators will change. Why are you guys have your Steam clients up?
I can have it up.
Okay.
I don't.
Could you tell me when you go to the front page on the Steam Curators recommended to follow list who's there? Because I want to know if that changes.
I don't even see that on my front page.
If you scroll down, it's on the storefront.
It's entirely you.
What, all of it?
Jesus Christ.
It's
No. When it says here's maybe my Steam page looks different. So I've got like top sellers list under that, new on Steam, recently updated, explore your queue, and then under that I've got Steam curators, recommended curators to follow, and there's 6 of them.
No, I think I effed that up because I followed you, and so now it's changed into Steam curators, games recommended by curators you follow, and it's just a bunch of you.
Oh, so that's now gone. Okay. Yeah.
Find more top curators.
Does that just list by followers?
It looks like it.
Yeah. Here's what I'd love to see is if the algorithm can include, like, it compares games that you've liked to games that are on a curator's list and then recommends you curators based on that.
A curator that would, fit your...
That seems like it would work. That would be fairly easy to do, right?
Just compare your list. Totally.
Yeah.
That's a simple algorithm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Does that already... Yeah, is that already a thing that happens? From what I can tell, it doesn't seem to be. Although, well, apparently, it seems like it is changing for some people.
You seem to like giant anime boobs. Check out Jesse.
You checked out Jesse's list?
Go on.
Shadow95 in chat says he has like 2 anime games, but he's being recommended 2 anime curators. Or is he being recommended that, or has he followed them? I assume he's being recommended 2 anime game curators. So... I don't know if they're trying to do that or if it just doesn't have the data to work yet. Who knows? Maybe it's just like, it's not there yet. I'm not sure. But I think that's how you've got to do it. Because otherwise it does just become a popularity contest. And frankly, that's of no use to people.
Yeah.
You want to follow curators whose opinions you either so vastly contrast with, and it's like, oh, he hates that, I'll love it. Or he loves that, I'll hate it. Or you want to follow people who have similar tastes to you. So, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's an improvement, certainly. I'm definitely concerned about the thing that you said earlier, Dodger, about the small indies getting shafted on the front page. That's potentially really bad.
They were already getting buried under everything else.
Yeah, it's potentially really bad. Although I did notice, like, a very small game that I recommended, 618 The Moon, was actually and still is on the popular new releases list. And it's not actually that popular. If I go to Steam charts and I look up 618 The Moon... then it's currently at, let's see, it's currently at 48 concurrent players, yeah? And that's an increase over the last 2 days, like it's tripled its player base, but that's still a very small player base, all things considered. But that's apparently popular enough to be on the popular new releases page. So I guess it doesn't take much, but it's still possible for people to get shafted, though.
All right, it's happening. It's called the Cox list.
Of course it is.
It's
Why
all
do you call
about
it the Cox box, or the box of Cox.
God damn it, TB.
Box of Cox. It's perfect.
Edit group profile. Fuck.
The big Cox.
The big Cox.
There you go. Right, he's working on it now. Cool. We've found out how to stop him talking. Great. All right, so is there any other... do we want to talk a bit about Space Base? Or, Woolie, what do you want to talk about? You're the guest.
Well, I mean, I guess, like, Space Base, it's going away. Clang is going away.
It is.
Yeah.
The games are just not reaching the amount of funding that they were hoping for. And in the case of Space Base, it's just like, okay, so, early access games program, people are taking money for a game that you're like, every dollar you pay is for a little bit more coding. Or a little bit more assets being inserted into the game. I don't know why this is an ongoing thing. I wish that would go away.
It's astonishingly stupid and short-sighted.
It's the worst, Not to say that it's going to guarantee that, if you kickstart a game, it's going to work out. Because, Clang had 400K?
500K, I believe.
500K.
Yeah.
126,000, yeah.
And they had Gaben in the video. And... that wasn't enough to save it, Such a shame,
let's be honest,
man.
if the Lord on high deemeth that it shall not come out, then it shall not come out. It's that simple. The Lord works in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, Clang was really disappointing. It was very ambitious, but maybe there just wasn't enough funding there. They did at least try to refund people. Now, with Space Base, yes, they did. They're trying to refund as many people as they can with Clang.
What I'd really like to see is release the code. Just release what's been done so far, and put it in the hands of the people that paid for it, so that hey, maybe a group of just anybody can get together and make something out of it.
It's
I
think
it sounds
determined as well, though, isn't it? That makes it very difficult.
It sounds like where they went wrong with Clang was they made a build of the game, and it was super fucking boring. Like, it looked great. They focused a lot on the historical elements, like they said they were going to. And then the game wound up being really, really boring. And when they took it to investors to be like, hey, will you help us complete this game? Everybody was like, ah!
Yeah. Yeah, it's the good old we're kickstarting to show interest thing rather than this is the amount that we need to do it. And there's several games that have fallen, and Takedown Red Saber did a similar thing.
I mean,
and it was a disaster as a result.
I guess the idea of releasing the source code is fully committing to the fact that you're letting go of the idea forever.
It is, yeah.
Exactly.
And maybe there's just hesitation with that.
Well, they're doing it with Space Base, but frankly, that's not the sort of thing that I would say is, I don't know. It's good that they're releasing the source code, but simultaneously, that doesn't fix shit. That doesn't give refunds to the people that you said you were going to make a game for and you failed to do so. That doesn't fix that problem. And Tim Schafer got into the fray himself and actually responded. And there was some really alarming stuff with that. We found out that the game was funded initially by the Indie Fund for $400K. 75K of that came from the Indie Fund, and the rest came from a bunch of other investors, like actual game developers and things like that. And they claimed that when the early access launched, they'd recoup that money in 2 weeks. So if I'm reading that correctly, that means that $400,000 was repaid prior to the game coming out. Now, unless that recoup means something different, because that sounds to me like it was paid back, right?
Yes. They seem to imply that they broke even in the first 2 weeks. That's what the statement was, yeah.
Yeah, and if that's true, that's ridiculous. Isn't the point of investing, once the product comes out, you then get paid back and then you get some interest on top of that? You don't pay them back prior to the thing being finished, because then you run out of money. Yeah. What's the point?
When you do the early access thing, it moves what you would call a release date up to now. The release is now. It has been released, and it doesn't matter what state the game is in. So yeah, people want to see the return immediately on how much dev time? I don't know how long Space Base has been worked on for, but I really hope this kind of system goes away. I don't want this evolving and becoming the direction that video games goes into.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it is definitely a disaster. There's no doubt about that. Tim came out and said, we started Space Base with an open-ended production plan, hoping it would find similar success to the alpha-funded games that inspired it. What alpha-funded games that inspired it? The game was basically inspired by Space Station 13 and Dwarf Fortress, neither of which have taken alpha funding, if I recall correctly. That's a little bit weird. And he was also talking about the fact that the game was expensive because you had to support a team in San Francisco that were being paid significant amounts of money. I heard the figure $10,000 a month per developer.
What? That's a lot.
What?
Shit. That's a lot of money, guys.
Yeah. It is. So this is according to Tim Schafer's tweets, apparently recently on the topic. $200,000 basic cost, 12 developers average team time times $10,000 a month monthly pay times 24 months of development.
Is that total? Everyone getting paid a total of $10,000 an hour?
A month? He just said per developer, right?
12 developers, $10,000 a month monthly pay. So, I mean, that would be $2.8 million in employee pay over a 2-year period. $120,000 a year per employee. That's what he's claiming as an average cost, basically, of his guys. And don't get me wrong, I don't want game developers to get paid jack shit. Absolutely not.
No, of course not.
And that was just the salary. San Francisco is one of the most expensive places to live in the world. As someone was pointing out in the chat, the median income in San Francisco is $89,000. That's the median.
Yeah.
And when something like this happens, it's like you lose all the money, but the trust damage it's done.
Yeah.
It's done. It takes years to possibly build that back up. I don't even know if it's possible. You know, like it really hurts how much people believe in you, in what you can do. If you put out another Kickstarter, you have to sell people again that like, oh, we know how to use the money. We're going to do it right. And like, you're already taking that risk if people don't know who you are or if they believe in you. And then when this happens, like, oh my God, I don't know what you do.
One thing, you don't develop in fucking San Francisco, apparently. There's a bunch of other games that were Kickstarted and actually spoke to the guy behind Chaos, I think it's Chaos Unleashed. And he was the guy who was behind the original XCOM, yeah? And he has got a lot of experience. And I was asking him during that, it's like, well, can you actually afford this? Like, is this something that you can really afford? And it's like, yeah, so our development team is in another country, and the salary amount is significantly lower, and the cost of living's lower. So this is how we can develop this game on this budget. It's like, oh, that sounds perfectly sensible. Instead of bringing a bunch of devs into San Francisco and then paying them average 120 grand a year, and then wondering why you don't have the money to finish your games. Yeah.
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 What, Jesse?
It's a mess.
Not a fan. Not a fan.
No, well, I'm not a fan of early access. You know that, and that's two down really for the guys. Double Fine. You know, I've no doubt the rest of Broken Age will eventually come out, but there's no doubt that trust was damaged by that. It's like, yeah, so we asked for $400,000, we made $3 million, and we still couldn't finish it. It's like, yeah, but we made this much bigger thing. Yeah, but no one wanted the bigger thing. I mean, when I funded that early on, I funded it on the promise of a $400,000 classic kind of pixel art point and click that looked like any of the Scum Engine games. That's what I funded. I didn't fund what Broken Age became.
Well, and you remember the feeling that I guess so many people had where you just like, you're like, yay, this is going, and now it's in trouble with money, and oh, look, there goes Elijah Wood. And you're like, but that's cool. How much did that cost?
Well, apparently he worked far below regular rates, which I get, because apparently, he's friends with them, and that's fine and all, but...
Did he? Okay.
Did anyone even ask for high-level voice acting?
Yeah, right? That's what happens, Like, where's this money going? Oh, that's where it's going. Okay,
but guys, we can get Elijah Wood. It's like, no, it's okay.
I remember, I think it was the voice acting for the first Discworld point and click. The writing was fucking hilarious, and they didn't spend shitloads of money on voice acting for that.
Yeah.
It's not like you can't get good voice acting without paying a shit ton of money. You do not need celebrity voice actors in a point and click game. You don't. You don't.
Or at least, put the stretch goal in from the get-go so that people kind of know you want to spend this much money on this thing, but don't sneak that in,
Oh, incidentally, Discworld had 5 voice actors, some of which are actually quite famous, but I imagine they were paid a lot less. Eric Idle was in it, John Pertwee was in it, and Tony Robinson. But there were only 5 voice actors, apparently. They all just did different voices.
Right.
So, I don't know. The whole thing is a mess. I think early access is a bad business model in general for the vast majority of games. And the very idea that you can only afford to finish the game if people buy your unfinished game is inherently broken. I don't want to buy your game while it's unfinished. I want to buy it when it's finished. But if you can't finish it...
Right.
Common sense. Cart before the horse. Bullshit here.
Yeah, no, let's not fill up the car with gas and then go on the road trip. Let's start pushing the car and hope that we come across orange peels and whatever fuel on the way. Maybe we'll get to Nevada.
Let's hope people give us fuel on the way in order to reach our destination. Here's an idea. Save up the money, fill up the car, and then make sure you have enough money and petrol to reach your destination.
Get to fucking point B, please. Yeah.
How someone managed to create a business model that is worse than Kickstarter, I don't know, but that is exactly what early access in principle is. That does not mean that every early access game is bad. That's bullshit. There's plenty of good early access games. Prison Architect, Kerbal Space Program... some others that I don't know or play, but I bet there's other ones. But it's still an inherently broken business model. It's stupid. Yep. At least with Kickstarter, it's like, here's the budget we think we need. Yeah. Either we make that budget or we don't make that budget. With early access, it's like, here, we're going to release what we got. And I hope you give us money, cause otherwise we're fucked, otherwise we're fucked. No! That's terrible!
And when we look at consoles possibly copying this model soon, it's like There's,
oh God.
It's just I can't imagine the nightmare of people who, are just only console-only players that don't really know about the ins and outs of how the industry works, being like, yeah, I'm going to pay money for this thing, and wait, what did I just download? What am I playing? What's happening here? There's a system called compliance that exists in like the QA world, and it's just this is the list of rules that every console game has to go through to be released, and a customer can't play a game if it's going to delete his save file and everything else on his console.
That's in every industry. I used to have that with financial advice. Like there was shitloads of it there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that used to be my job back in the day, was like going through the rules, making sure the customer gets quality. And with a system like Early Access, it defeats the purpose of putting these rules in place, because your game can't adhere to all these rules if it's not done yet, know?
Yeah, and of course you're not allowed to criticize it because like, oh, we'll fix it tomorrow. Like, and I've said it before, like it's impossible to critique those damn things because unless you're wanting to make 20 videos on the game as it goes through its progress, which is completely unfeasible unless you're like a specialist channel, then you don't have reliable information to go on. You've only got shit like Steam reviews and complaining on the Steam forums, and complaining on the Steam forums is not a reliable source of information.
Yeah, I'm gonna write a review that's just an Excel sheet of bugs, and that'll be that. Just put that out there.
Yeah.
This is my opinion on this game so far. I can't have when it's not done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do hope that this is a wake-up call for Double Fine and for people supporting them. It's not like Double Fine makes bad games. Like Hack and Slash came out just fine. And that was early access funded. But this didn't. And as a result, taking into account the things that Bobby Kotick said in 2010 about how over budget and ridiculous everything was going with Brutal Legend, and then taking into account the way that they handled Broken Age, it's hard to trust that developer right now. And I think they're going to have to rebuild that trust, and it's going to take a lot of time. And I don't think that people should let them get away with it. A lot of people basically lost their money on a game that was never done and never reached the potential that it promised.
What?
How?
I'm trying to figure out what that means for other things.
Such as?
Like, Broken Age Part 2, stuff like that.
What about it? I mean, if that doesn't come out, then that's going to be a fucking huge scandal.
No, that's what I'm really interested in, is what this does to everything else, because already people were assuming that they didn't have the money to make Broken Age Part 2. So
because they didn't. They didn't. They simply didn't. And Tim said, it's fine, but they admitted that they'd burned through the Kickstarter money. All of it.
But like I think that's the disgusting thing. That drives me crazy. That, having friends working in the video game production industry and seeing them get nothing to do it, and then after a game's complete, all be fired because we don't need to do any more games done.
Oh
like
my
that
God,
that kind of stuff is infuriating. And then to see people who are on Kickstarter who are basically like, thanks for the goodwill, because in the past we'd made some good stuff, so let's work together.
Oh well, that's the currency.
Tens of thousands of dollars to do jack shit. It's horrifying. It's so aggravating.
Yeah, I mean, the currency that most of those Kickstarters trade on is the goodwill of previous titles. And then sometimes that pays off with, like, Wasteland and things like that. Like, yeah, you guys have a pedigree, and I'm going to forgive you for that shitty version of Choplifter that you made. But outside of that, it's a lot of, well, maybe, just maybe, we're going to bring out something good. Do you remember this? We were involved in some way with that. Let's do it again. Like, okay. That's
I think it's one of the things that even though Blizzard has canceled Titan, at least the people working there probably have job security to the point where it's like, we'll just put you on another thing at Blizzard.
No consumer got shafted over Titan. Nobody. Zero.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It wasn't even announced yet.
Exactly.
It wasn't even announced,
Yeah, we're insulated from that. Like, if the investors, if there were investors, which one assumes there were, got screwed by the Titan thing, that's between the investors and Blizzard. Yeah?
Right.
It's got nothing to do with us. We are protected. And frankly, when you're investing, those are risks that you take. It's a high-risk business.
The investors. We became the investors, unfortunately, when it comes to Kickstarter.
Except we get nothing back. We don't get a return.
Nothing.
We're
investors
not
make money off
you
this.
get a T-shirt.
Yeah.
Yay! We're suckers, is what we are. We throw money at unfinished shit, and then it's like, oh, it's not finished. Damn. well, let's stop throwing money at unfinished shit, and then that business model will go away, and then we can work on something a little bit more honest.
Well, PayPal kind of changed the way that they do things, right?
Kickstarter, yeah.
Kickstarter, I'm sorry.
They made some changes to their terms of service. I don't know if it even makes a difference, though. Changes terms of service.
You just have to show like what the product will be, right? You have to prove that
you have to prove
you have a plan.
You did something with all of it. The problem is that the proof can literally be just what happened in this scenario, which is we spent all the money on the development, but we ran out of money and we can't make it happen, and that's good enough. Like that's okay. You tried.
Just proof that they didn't spend it all on McDonald's.
Here's the problem. They don't ask for receipts, and they don't IRS the damn thing. They're just like, did you try? Like, yeah, no, we tried.
Kickstarter's two hands off with that, and they always have been. They want to be able to collect the money and then have no responsibility. And frankly, I'm very interested. If that goes to court, I wonder if that shit's going to stand up. Because I have a feeling that if that actually gets to court, they're going to say, no, Kickstarter does have some responsibility. You took money from this. They say, you may be subject to legal action by buyers. Cool. But are you, Kickstarter, are you going to initiate that class action lawsuit on behalf of the backers? You're not, aren't you? You don't want shit to do with this.
And, I wasn't even thinking of, like, the other side of it, like, the devs that get laid off because these things go south as well is just, it's such a shitty part. It's a shit sandwich on both sides. I remember there was a Kickstarter for Wild Man that, like, didn't quite make it. It got canceled. And it was just, like, it was like the caveman sort of game.
Yeah, I remember that
like,
one. Who was that actually Double Fine?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Double Fine. It was Chris Taylor.
Oh, it was Gas Powered Games one.
Yeah. And I remember, like, in the last update video, like he was almost crying because he was just like, I want to pay these guys that are sitting around me making this game, but it's not coming in. And, it was a really, like, rough side of things to see, like, exposed fully in front of us. And it just makes me think, like, that don't ever put people's jobs on the line with shaky ground like this.
It's a gamble. It's such a gamble. Like, early access is a gamble. Kickstarter even is less of a gamble because at least you know the budget. Like, if you are honest about Kickstarter, and I think this is the problem, a lot of developers aren't, they lowball deliberately because they want a better chance of getting the money because it's either all or nothing. If you don't reach it, even if you're $1 short, that's it. But at least with that, you can set up a budget and say, this is the money I've got to work with, and then you calculate in how much Kickstarter takes and side costs and ancillary stuff. But with early access, you can't do that because you are banking entirely on sales of a game that's not done yet. It's absurdly stupid. Like, the only time you should ever use early access is when you know that game's going to get finished and you want to release it a bit early to maybe get some feedback and maybe do basically crowdsource bug testing, effectively. It's like, you are paying for the privilege of testing bugs. Stop it! It's so silly. You are making yourselves slaves in this insect nation. Oh, God. Yeah. Early access is dumb.
Just looking through Kickstarter now at some of the games here, I'm not going to mention any names, but several of them are, we have an idea, here's a few images from our idea,
give me
money please.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy.
Well,
and here's the thing, if the images are good enough, they'll get the money. Like, if what they show or the concept's good enough, they'll get a ton of money for it, even though at its base, they have nothing really to show. And those are the ones that are just gonna.
Yeah, a lot of what I'm noticing is a lot of Kickstarters now. There are none of the huge Kickstarters anymore for games. None of them. Like, what was the last really big, high-profile gaming Kickstarter that actually made $1 million? Can you remember?
Ooh, I have a list of stuff we talked about on our podcast, but like after Mighty Number 9, there probably was one or two, but. It's getting smaller.
I'm looking at the success list, and what I'd love to see is if it ordered by... Goddamn, doesn't order by money. There's probably a list of it somewhere. But I don't... the golden age of Kickstarter, I think, is gone. Like, you can get $100,000 from Kickstarter now. But you're going to try and get 3 and 4 million, you're probably fucked. That well is starting to dry, I think.
Can we just... Jesus Christ. Go to Kickstarter.com and go to the most funded page. Number one most funded thing with $13 million is a drink cooler with a radio in it, basically. something that it has a blender at the top too. The second most funded thing is a watch that goes with your iPhone. Lol, 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 lol. The third most funded thing is an Ouya.
Hang on. Were you talking about the Pebble? Because the Pebble was actually a success. Like, that did well. That's a thing that's out. You can buy it. It's good.
No, I understand, but it's now in a market against something that is Apple made, like that kind of deal. So they created something, then Apple was like, we'll just do a better version of it. There's a digital music player, the Veronica Mars movie, Triple Dipple Lols.
Yeah.
And then
that one, yeah.
The most recent
Rainbow.
is Reading Rainbow, which God bless them for actually doing something good. And then Torment, which,
is
Numenera.
Torment.
Yeah, you can't hate on that. And then Project Eternity, as far as I'm aware, they're still working on it. Like, I don't think it exists yet.
Yeah, stuff's coming out for it. They're showing stuff. So it looks like it's weird because Obsidian are doing Project Eternity, and then In Exile are doing Torment. So it's they're all kind of from the same sort of genus, I suppose. Yeah, they're both from the Black Isle days, really.
There's Mighty Number 9. There's a 3D printer. A lot of 3D printers. Apparently, that is everyone's shit.
Yeah, there's always so many of those for sale on Kickstarter.
And then Double Fine. Double Fine is what? Number 1, 2, 3, 4.
They're pretty high up. Double Fine Adventure, 3.3 million.
Number 13. Number 13.
Yep. And then what's so cool in the middle of this is that there's a bunch of guys just making really cool miniatures that got shitloads of money, and apparently they're all great. Like I've backed a bunch of board games, never been disappointed yet. Honestly, I backed a few more this week just because they look cool. Because board games, there was one high-profile board game failure case. I think it was it was something.
I remember this.
Doom of Atlantic City, was it? Mm-hmm. Doom Comes to Atlantic City, I think it was called. That was like a huge high-profile failure. But outside of that, most board games, it's a smaller, more sensible project. It's like, you know how much time it's going to take to make, and you know what the production costs for it are, and it doesn't spiral out of control. So it's a much better bet, I think.
Like, this infuriates me. At $1.4 million, the newest, hottest Spike Lee joint by Spike Lee. Spike Lee, use your own damn money.
Yeah. Totally. That was super frustrating.
True.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That man has got more than enough money. Spike Lee, you've been around too damn long to need money. Enough out of you.
You know what needs money? Potato salad needs money. Go back potato salad.
Oh, that whole thing pissed me off so bad.
God.
Like, there are people that could actually, like, use this money to be alive.
Yeah.
But we're spending it on potato salad.
I'm in on the joke now.
But now I'm part of it. Remember when the potato salad was on Kickstarter? I was part of that.
Yeah, but you can always the argument that you make it with that, it's like those people would not have given that money to charity in the first place. And you know it. Like, it's the false lost customer fallacy. It just wouldn't have happened.
Hipster douchebags to begin with.
Well, the guy behind the damn thing is like, I don't know why this is happening. Like, he was as clueless as we are.
True.
So
Totally.
It's not like he really spurred it on. He was just like, lol, potato salad, and then it went blah.
For no fucking reason, yeah.
And my favorite part is that as a man who was getting a ton of money for no reason, he then was like, I'm not going to be a douche with this money. I'm going to be like, I'll make the best effing potato salad, and I'll send you all pictures of the potato salad. Like, he was like, I'm going to stick with it. I'm sticking with the comedy.
You got it.
I was like, that's a genuinely good human being. Like, he's not like, I'm going to take all this money and just roll around in potato salad. He didn't make it something more than it was. I was like, thank you, sir.
No early access potato salad.
No.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, early access to potato salad. It's like, it's just a bag of potatoes. It's like, it's the space-based DF9 approach. We're going to give you the source code to the potato salad. So here's a bag of potatoes. Make your own fucking potato salad. Fuck you!
Thanks for the money.
Yeah, thanks for the cash. Yeah, it definitely seems like the reign of Kickstarter games is slowly coming to an end, and that's probably for the best because they're going on Kickstarter with much more reasonable expectations, and they're not asking for $2 million or whatever. They're asking for Kickstarter is more of a kick finisher right now. It's like, please help me finish my game. It's so close, you know.
Yeah,
and that's cool. That works. Like it's such. I think
that works way better.
Yeah.
Than like, help me get my game started. It's like, dog, do you know how many games people try to start and then it just like fucking doesn't work? Like shit.
Skullgirls, was doing well and it was great. And they're like, hey, we want to put more characters in. We want to expand it. We want to do more content. And it was like, help add additional content to Skullgirls, not help build it.
Yeah, proven product. Proven product right there. It's like what was cool about that is they explained exactly why it is that a character costs that much. Because people were like, what the fuck?
Down.
Why does it cost that much?
Down. That was cool.
Yeah, I dig that. It's again
super good.
Back to the same fucking subject. Transparency. If you want to hide in the dark, then fuck you. Come out into the light. Simple as that.
That was one of my favorite things. I think Awesomenauts did the same thing, where for Starstorm, they did a Kickstarter. And for both of those, they put out, like, this is how much it's going to cost for this and this and this. And the reaction was furious. Like, why would it cost so much when this other game that everyone funded for $2 million didn't cost nearly as much to make? And it's like, well, that other game probably, reduced the number of what they wanted because they didn't think they were going to make their Kickstarter. And, they bullshitted all the numbers, and really they're going to end up being screwed.
Is that game out yet? Because if it's not, it's like, why did this other? That doesn't exist. You're pointing to something that literally does not exist. This is not a fair comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay, yeah. So we have come to the conclusion that giving money to things that aren't done yet is fucking stupid and you should probably stop. Unless it is...
It's potato salad.
No, unless it is these motherfucking dice. Look at this shit. These are gorgeous. It says you need this dice.
Ready.
And I agreed. I agreed with the assertion that I needed these dice. So I have backed and have now purchased these dice, as have a lot of people. He asked for $1,000. He got $51,000. I do, in fact, need these dice.
Wait, why? What do you need about these dice?
I need them. I mean, look at them. I obviously need the dice.
They're beautiful. They're beautiful dice.
I mean, he has told me that I need these dice, and I agree with him. So I have backed these dice.
I don't
Is this basically like, look at these fucking peppers? They're so beautiful.
Yeah, it's
look at them.
Look at this motherfucking dog.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Got it.
Yep. So as it turns out, I do need these dice. Like, and he shows them by candlelight. There's blood involved in places. These are nice.
Yeah, they're all themed. That's cool.
Yeah, they're all themed.
I don't understand.
So as it turns out, I do need these dice.
These dice are gorgeous.
This must be over my head because I don't.
Is that Kickstarter still going?
Yeah, it is. 68 hours to go. Like, getting a set of them is cheap as shit. Like, I backed it the high wizard tier at this contribution level, $25. I received 2 full sets of dice. And name listed as contributor, and he has like ridiculous stretch goals, so everyone's getting about like 5 times as many dice as they originally asked for. It's like, stop giving me dice! It's infinite dice.
Here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna make a ton of money off of this and go into production of dice, and you won't see a 1 because there's so many people. He will just be so overwhelmed.
He's just drowning in dice. Like, help me!
I watched this happen with a bunch of other Kickstarters. They were like, oh, I'll sell a few and make a few bucks. And so many people got in that they couldn't make any because they were so overwhelmed by the demand.
Well, remember when we funded that poster in 2 minutes? Remember that one?
Look, I love that poster. That poster is hanging in my bathroom. Yeah. That poster's in my bathroom.
Yeah.
What are the risks and challenges of this? Like, we can't make enough dice? Is that about it?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. We are overwhelmed by the number of dice we have to make. That's pretty much what's going to happen. Like, he's estimating delivery December 2014. Okay. And I'm not so stressed for the dice that I think that I can, I'm going to flip out if he doesn't get me them by December,
You need the dice. You might not need them now, but you need them in your life at some point.
He wasn't specific about when I needed the dice, only that I did need the dice. And I agree with him. I need the dice. So
a really good example of this is there was a desk that I helped kickstart.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's built for, like, basically gamers and computer people, like the top is a mouse pad. The entire top of the desk is a mouse pad. There, it has all the ports and shit in the desk. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And his initial concept was, I'm going to make these myself and I'm going to send them out to you and they're going to be handcrafted and wonderful. So many people ended up being interested in this desk that in order to get them to everyone on time, he had to look for actual manufacturers. So that required him then looking to countries or places that would make this and as cheaply as possible. So he went through all, and he kept sending all these messages to people like, okay, I'm in China now. I've been in 4 companies, and all of them, they want to work with really shitty parts and stuff. And it's this huge process. And watching him literally lose his mind as he tried to put this together. And now, and it's like a year late, he just got everything from the factory where he can mail it out now, but it's the point where he has no more money. He's like, you have to pay for shipping costs if you want this, because I've got nothing. Like he's like, I have nothing. And like it's
the strange reality of where success actually makes you fail.
Yeah.
Because the economy of scale goes insane at that point. It's and that's a weird difference, I think, between what happened with Broken Age, where they purposefully spent too much money, versus this guy who actually didn't want to make 1,000 desks. He only wanted to make like 10, and then there you go.
He got screwed.
It could happen with the dice. It could.
Slowly watching them lose their minds it's really sad. Like
sad.
I don't remember what the project was with that great board game where the girl that was making it was just like the son told me not to make it. There was a board game that looked fantastic. It was about like space, and you kind of had each section of the board was a part of the galaxy. Okay. And it looked fantastic. And then it just like the creator, it got funded, and the creator just kind of slowly went crazy and was like, the son has told me don't release this game, so I'm not going to release it. Sorry, everybody. And that was the end of that.
Jesus.
What?
Yeah. Went actually crazy, for real.
Amazing.
I don't remember the name, but it happens, man.
Insanity. Quite literally in that case, by the sounds of it.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, I think that we've now overrun. So there you go. You got bonus footage, and we didn't even charge you early access fees for it. You can feel.
Hey.
Yep.
I will.
You needed this podcast.
$4.99.
You need this podcast. So, we shipped it to you. Mm-hmm. So we're going to take the opportunity to tell you what is coming up on our channel this week. And, of course, we'll start with our special guest, Mr. Woolie. What on earth are you doing this week, and where can we find you?
You can find us at superbestfriendsplay.com, and we're also on YouTube. We're going to be playing lots of Dark Souls 2. We've got The Walking Dead Season 2 going on our channel as well. And upcoming, we're going to be playing Guacamelee. So if any of those
great game.
Then tune in.
I love that game. Are you playing the Ultra Super Max Edition?
Super Turbo Edition, yes.
Yeah. That is such a fucking great game. I
Having a blast, man.
I hate Metroidvania games, and I love that one. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
absolutely
so
brilliant.
Good.
Very cool. Dodger, what's going on with the channel this week? What's going on?
Hi, guys. I have 2 channels. I have youtube.com/pressstart-to-continue, where I do gaming stuff and like nerdy adjacent stuff right now. My big game that I'm playing is Hatoful Boyfriend. I'm trying to get every ending, so we're working on our 5th ending right now. If you want to go back and watch all of the other ones and catch up, that would be awesome. And my other channel is youtube.com/dexterity-bonus, where I drink coffee and talk about my cats and stuff. So I'd love to have you on either of those channels, and on all the social medias, I'm at DexBonus, DEXBONUS.
Fantastic.
Yay. Sold.
Jesse.
Thank you.
Jesse.
YouTube.com/Jesse Cox. This week we are doing the end of Hyrule Warriors. It'll probably be wrapped up by Friday, since I'm not doing the adventure mode and stuff, just the story bits. And other than that, a new series is coming because you guys wanted it, and I'm not even going to spoil the name because someone will steal it before the first video gets up. It's very good. And go check out the Cox list that I just created.
The Cox box.
I can't take the Cox box. Someone already has it. So the minute you said that, I was like, no, someone's gonna get it.
You weren't quick enough.
List, it's just all the story games that I love, and I'll go through there and add more than 10, but there's 10 now. Yeah. So that's it, and I will simply say Jesse Cox on the Tweetster. Go there.
Cool.
Dodger, sorry. When I tweeted at you the other day, I tweeted at Dodger, and I made the mistake of realizing that's not you. That's just some guy.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I found out too late.
Some dude, man.
And he didn't even reply. Like, how rude.
What a bastard. You know, if you're going to steal a game like that, you should, a name like that, you should at least try, you know? Just
jerk.
Yeah, what the heck?
Bastard.
Jeez.
Well, you know what? You can find my shit. But this week I'll be probably... I was supposed to bring this out last night, and then the Steam thing came out, and I spent like 4 hours making a list in my quest for world domination. But I'm doing a video of Stronghold Crusader 2. I'm probably doing that today to be released tomorrow, but I can't promise anything. I've got a bunch of stuff I need to do there. Gauntlet. I don't even know if I should promise that we'll try and do co-optional plays, because we've done that for like the last 9 months, and we keep saying, yeah, we're going to start co-optional plays, and then we never fucking do it.
Let's do it, guys.
Yeah, we'll try and do a Gauntlet video this week. We'll give it a shot. Outside of that, Steam has a lot on the way. Defense Grid 2 is on my list. Ancient Space is on my list. Flockers is on my list. And there'll most likely be a couple of other things that crop up. I'll most likely do a few more Impress Me episodes. I've decided on a new name for Impress Me, because Impress Me is a terrible name. So we're going to, now that we've changed the time, we're going to call it 15 Minutes of Game, is what it is. It's called 15 Minutes of Game. And I'll be continuing that, because that seemed to go pretty well. Outside of that, if you want to check...
What if the first 15 minutes are like a weird intro cutscene?
Then that's what you get. That's what you see.
Then they fucked up.
Yeah, pretty much.
This did not impress you.
No, that did not impress me much. But you can check out...
God damn it.
You can check out...
God damn it.
You can check out my Steam list. It is tinyurl.com/cynicalsteam. That's tinyurl.com/cynicalsteam. The theme of that list is simply good games on Steam that I am very confident in my opinion of. Simple as that. The vast majority of them have links to my WTFs. There are a couple of exceptions of things like King's Bounty Armored Princess that I just never got around to making a video about, but I know are still very good anyway. But yeah, that's all that list is going to be, pretty much. So, and big thanks to those that followed it, that actually got it up as high as it was. That's amazing. Really, really cool. So big thanks to you for that. And I think that's probably about it, isn't it? You'll be seeing the Smite thing coming, I think, in the next few weeks from us. That was interesting. So hopefully you will enjoy that very much. And we hopefully won't mess up completely in the next few weeks and burn our credibility to the ground.
Yay!
That's the plan.
People are wondering if you're going to make a list of games with no FOV options.
That will be a very long list.
TV's FOV list. Yes.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit that could be done with tags, frankly. So, yeah, do your duty. If you know that there is a game that does not have an FOV slider and yet should have an FOV slider, then make sure to tag it and let people know that it has no FOV slider. Simple as that. As you should do. Be the change
Jesse,
that you want to see
already
in
have
the world.
1,200 followers.
Wow, well done. Very cool.
What? No, I don't.
Is it a different list? The Cox list?
You looking at the Cox box?
What?
Where do you find this? Do you have
a little leaf is your picture, right?
Yeah, it's
do you have a short
number.
Do you have a short
URL? You have
URL?
1,268 followers, dude.
What?
Right on.
Internet, you rascals. Yeah, all right, I didn't think that would happen, but thanks. Now I got to work on it. Fuck.
There you go. You're in it. You're in it now. We have trapped you within the vortex.
Son of a bitch. All
Wonderful.
right.
Thank you very much for watching, guys. Please remember, do follow us on Twitter. You can find me at Totalbiscuit, or if you prefer the just announced videos thing, you can follow Cynical Brit instead. Dodger.
What?
Twitter.
Dex bonus.
Great. Jesse. Twitter.
Jesse Cox.
Woolie.
And
Twitter.
Woolie Wools with a Z.
Woolie Wools. There you go. Big thanks, of course, to our special guest today, Woolie, from
Thank you.
Super
Honored
Best
to be
Friends
here.
Zaibatsu.
Had fun.
Absolutely would have you on again. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Really
you were
cool.
great.
We'll even send you a web camera that works properly. That would be
Oh shit! Shots fired.
Shout out to the electric dildo in the background. Electric
You've been watching Corruptional Podcast. Good night!
Bye.
Clear.